This is off topic, but I went to a bookstore. One of the local bookstores recently opened up a cafe section.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to write there instead of at home because it kind of helps my brain. And I also have been in talks with the owner of this bookstore to do a book signing for a little while.
Ooh.
So I went and I sit down to type, and I get accosted by the owner almost immediately.
Naturally.
And he's like, hey, about that book signing. And I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. So we figured out a date or whatever. And then he's like, also about the horror podcast. And I don't think I told him about the horror podcast.
no.
So it must have
Oh,
been
shit.
Noah.
No.
Who
It was
told
not
him?
me.
Who
Somebody
told
else
him?
told him.
It's me.
He was like, if you ever want another local guest. And then he said, my wife would probably want to do it because he doesn't watch horror.
That's
He
okay.
says
Firstly,
That's
that's so
amazing.
funny that he immediately did not volunteer himself.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he said that if we did books, and I was like, that's when I posted in the server about my, it was my server. Sorry. I posted in a server about a book rec that I got from him because I was like, we do books once a year. So when I know what the next book is, maybe I'll stop by and be like, hey, do you want to read this book we picked out and talk about it with us? But yeah, he was like, I was like, how did you find out about this?
yeah.
Do you
what?
think Maggie told him? That's the
It's
only thing I
possible.
can think.
What's his wife's name?
I don't remember.
I just had this really funny thought of the hypothetical that Emma's unable to get the book this year or something like that, like some freak situation where we have to do a last minute sub in,
The book's
but
not
his wife is
available in
also
Canada or
named
something.
Emma, and it would be like, today with me is blah 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 blah, and Emma, and then a totally new voice chimes in, and that just would be very funny.
That would be very funny. I agree.
If all the stars align, we should still do that bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
sure.
But like with you there as well, it's just that she answers first.
Yeah. I would love that. That'd be perfect.
But that's not the point of today. The point of today is
Actually, I
that
don't
we
know
have-
if it's his wife. Hold on. I don't know if it's wife or if it's just the co-owner. I don't know if they're married. I do know her name's Lauren, though. So
That's
Oh.
not Emma.
Oh.
Is her middle
Damn.
name Emma, maybe?
Could you
I'll
change
ask
it?
next
Would you
time
consider
next
it?
time I'm in the coffee shop. I'll ask
The
her.
bit really
Change
only
the
works
plot
if her
twist
name is
going
Emma
on.
is the thing, you know?
There's so
Yeah.
much going on.
Yeah, we had a lot
Yeah.
In
invested
this
in her
world.
name being Emma thing, so
Yeah,
I
she could
could
just
not in
change
it.
her
Not in it
Emma.
actually being the wife of the person I said it was the wife.
No one gives
of.
a fuck about that part. That
Yeah, we-
was you making
That
a
was
mistake.
a guffaw.
details,
A
really.
guffaw.
A guffaw,
halloo,
for
if you
me.
will.
Yeah. Anyway,
Speaking,
ghouls.
wait,
Are we ghoul-
Speaking of books,
Oh.
I am happy to announce I'm no longer the most illiterate member of the podcast again.
Damn it.
Oh.
Because I finished The Forgotten Lyric. And so
Yes.
now I've read more books than Noah.
Great news.
I have a book I'm halfway through that I dropped to read the first two books of the Hannibal Lecter shit. And now I have to finish it so that I
you have
can
to
win
finish
again.
that book, and then you have to read Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, I have to read that.
because
You
I'm
still haven't
making
read
him
Murder
read
on the
it.
Orient Express, Noah?
Shut the fuck up.
Come on, even I've read that.
See, I need him to read it because he wants to see it. Anyway, that's struck content.
Anyway.
Boo.
Well, yeah, we're not going to talk about it when we see it.
Yeah, I'll have
I
to
haven't even
cut all
seen
We
that
can
it.
talk
out.
about it in the build-up, right? Like this is a movie we might go see. Oh, I guess that's kind of advertising, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
Jeff, can,
Endorsement, certainly.
hey,
I'll-
editing Jeff,
I'm
can
gonna
you please
actually
just put a
cut
big
that instead of
beep
the normal
over
thing that I do, where I say I'm going to cut it and then I leave it in.
Yeah.
No one wants to go see Redacted. And I said that before he can see that, he has to read
You have to start
Redacted.
No, the book doesn't have to be redacted. Everyone should read.
Context redact.
yeah, but all we would just say is everyone should read the Murder on the Orient Express, and that's it.
Yeah.
No
that's
other
what I think.
context provided.
I got some ghouls to gab.
Noah has
I got
ghouls
to
ghouls.
gab.
No one's
Some
got
gab
some
ghouls.
ghouls.
I'm gabbing a ghoul. All right. So
Let's go.
firstly, there's this long-standing beef between me and Jeff. Jeff may remember it as coming into the podcast, slapping a steaming turd on the table and saying, Noah, The Autopsy of Jane Doe is the most 5-star movie 5 out of 10 movie I've ever seen in my fucking life. Go fuck yourself.
Those were my exact words and sentiment, yes.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? That was definitely a 9-star movie.
Uh-oh.
And I said, no, that was a 9-star Noah, which means something, yeah.
I would like to... I watched the movie again.
Okay.
I watched it just the other day.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts?
And you know what? I actually watched 3 movies the other day
Wow.
And all three we'll be talking about today.
Okay.
One of them was Alien.
Oh my god, really?
But-
Whoa.
Whoa,
I watched The
that too.
Autopsy of Jane Doe, and I still enjoy it. I think it's a
Yeah.
good atmosphere piece. I do
sure.
think I bumped it down. It took a step back from 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it was to an 8. It'll
Okay.
probably
Only to an
continue to
8.
tick down the more I watch. Well, here's the thing. I don't think it holds up on a rewatch. I think if I watch it again, it'll probably continue to tick down.
Sure.
So
But
watch it 3 more times.
and then I'll finally
Speed
be where
run it.
Jeff believes it is. But no, I like the atmosphere of it, and also
The atmosphere's
specifically
good.
morgues are still the thing that creep me out. So
100%.
you know how it is, but that's
Understandable.
okay. I don't give a fuck about The Autopsy of Jane Doe, really, because I would actually much rather talk about one of the worst movies I've watched in a long time.
Oh, worse than the Resident Evil movies?
Okay, firstly, hold the slander. The Resident Evil movies are fun.
They have a charm. There's a
They're
charm.
not good, but there is a lot of fun to be
Okay,
had
but
from
like
them.
you did spend several weeks just coming in every episode and being like, the Resident Evil movies are still terrible. Like
One of them
Okay.
had
episode
Michelle
after episode.
Rodriguez.
Okay, but
That's
I
true.
said that with a
More than
smile on my face.
Oh,
Right.
true.
Mhm.
But you know what? I say nothing with a smile on my face. Half a sec. Let me just
Whoa,
A
that's
Nightmare
serious
on
face.
Elm Street reboot. The 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street is the worst sack of shit I have watched in a long time.
Yeah?
I've heard terrible things about
I
it.
remember watching it. Yep.
Like, Emma, you haven't gotten super into the Elm Street movies yet, but you at least have
I've watched
an idea.
3 of them.
That's
Exactly.
What are you
funny.
talking
well,
about?
Okay, I guess you are almost halfway.
That's as many as I
Yeah.
So you know what it is people like about Freddy, right?
yeah. He's
Now,
a
on a-
wisecracking son of a bitch.
Oh, no, Emma. No, that's completely wrong because what I learned from the Nightmare reboot is what people love about Freddy is that he is a convicted child predator.
Oh, that's my favorite part about him, actually.
You know, I
That's
always
true.
thought that was an understated part of his character.
Yeah,
everyone's
every
favorite
Elm
part.
Street movie that I watch, I'm always like, I wish they would give more attention to the fact that Freddy is a convicted child predator, you know? I wish
Exactly.
that got more attention.
Nothing like watching a child
Right?
predator crack wise.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 reboot really just dialed in on what it is that we like about perverted, nasty Freddy being a child predator.
Good. Finally.
The only
somebody.
thing we liked about it.
Did it
No,
start
so-
with him like being caught by Chris Hansen?
That'd be good.
I would have
really
preferred
good.
that. Frankly,
But
I
then the
would have
twist is
preferred
that Chris
that.
Hansen was just having a nightmare and Freddy showed up.
So yeah, they decide to try and play this game in the movie where they're like, "Oh, what is he a predator, or did the kids make it up and he was wrongfully killed?" And then
Hold
the-
up. I'm sorry. Did
like
they
they
do
try
that?
to play that.
They did the
yeah,
angle
they try
of,
to play that.
Did those kids lie about?
Yes, yes. The kids take that about themselves. They're like, "We were kids. What if we lied about it?" And then they go to this, and then yes, and then they go to Freddy's child den, and they're like, "Oh my God, this was all real. We didn't make it up at all. This is all real. He's actually evil. We didn't wrongfully kill him, and he's just trying to kill us because he's a nasty, perverted freak."
Yeah,
And
I always
it's like-
side with the victims when it comes to child. Like what? That's an insane narrative twist. Like
Yeah.
ugh.
And it's a weird, firstly, a really weird angle for them to decide to bank on.
Very.
Secondly, making Freddy an actual, like, because that's something that Wes Craven had toyed with the idea of and then decided that's too much. And he pulled it back from child predator to child murderer, which
Yeah.
That's
you
so
might
much
think
better. I like a child
that-
murderer way, way better.
That's what I'm saying.
You
You,
know-
you might on paper not realize that there's a huge rift of a difference between murderer and the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the murderer just kills people. I watch a lot of movies with people
Is
that
that
kill
so
people.
wrong,
Jason
really?
and the Argonauts, Michael Myers. We all know who kills people.
Jason.
I thought the Argonauts did a little bit of that.
I think the Argonauts did a good bit of it, but like the focus is really on Jason.
But yeah,
That's
the
wild.
Nightmare reboot is ass. The only good thing about it is there's some good dream sequences. Unironically, some really good dream sequences. But the movie is bad, the plot is bad, and the score. I have some, like, I watched
Do you know
this
who did
after
the score?
watching Alien, and
Oh,
one
no?
of, nope,
No? Okay.
Trent
couldn't care
Reznor.
less
I'm gonna
because
find
it's
out.
ass.
If it's Trent
After-
Reznor, I'll eat my hat.
After
who?
watching Alien,
No, it's
where
not.
there-
There's
it's
no
not.
way it is.
It's
There's
not
no
Trent.
way. I'd be so mad.
Couldn't be.
After watching Alien, which has a very sparse score that it uses very, very like tactfully, watching a movie about actual child predator Freddy Krueger that had a lay epic music soundtrack was insane. Whiplash. Hated it. I think I gave it 1.5 on Letterboxd just because the dream sequences are good.
The music is by, and I know this man because
Yeah, I just found
I
it.
listen to a lot of soundtrack music, but he has one of the best names ever. His name is Steve Jablonsky
Oh, love him.
What a
Love the
name.
Yeah.
How do
But
I
he did
know
a
that
bad job.
name?
because he scored a lot of other things. Like he does have a
Transformers,
pretty.
notably.
He did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2003 one.
That you know what?
He's done a bunch of Transformers stuff, the Friday the 13th reboot.
Man,
Yeah,
someone
I
put a
don't-
gun to his head and said, "You got to reboot the soundtrack for every major horror."
Yeah,
franchise."
basically
Transformers
exactly.
soundtracks are
and
pretty good.
Oh
Transformers.
my god, he did Gears of War
Oh, that's
3.
why I know. Okay, so that's why I know Steve Jablonsky is because there's a couple fucking Linkin Park songs that were for the Transformers movies,
Ah.
and when on Spotify it credits Steve Jablonsky under the soundtrack version of those songs.
Yeah.
So great divide.
He did the Amityville remake from 2005 as well.
Did he
did
really?
just do all the horror remakes in the 2000s and the 10s.
Did he do the Chucky TV show?
No.
Damn.
No, because they actually care about that, I think.
Did you guys see season 3 of the Chucky TV show is going to be in the White House?
Is
no.
it actually?
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
not kidding.
god.
I'm not kidding. Yeah, it is.
I gotta catch up.
The plot is
Yeah.
White House
Amazing.
centered. I don't. That's all I know. I don't
He's
know much more.
also. I'm gonna give him a little bit of credit as well. He's also scored a few video games.
Right.
So notably, Metal Gear Solid 2 and
Gears of
Gears
War
of War
3.
2, The Sims 3,
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid
and then
He's got good work.
obviously
He's got
all
good
the
stuff.
Transformers games.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Steve Jablonsky.
He's having a good
Nice.
career. Seems like he's probably making money. That's
Yeah.
cool.
But
Anyway,
Noah, what other movie did you watch?
Oh, it was that and Autopsy. That was it. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah?
I can't talk about it yet. But maybe someone else should gabagool first.
Well, I've got a couple
I'm
of
twirling my
things.
hair.
One of
true.
them is related to the movie that we are discussing today. And actually, I did send it to everyone in this podcast, so I don't know how many of you also watched the Giger's Alien documentary.
oh no.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It was really good.
I wasn't
And it had a
like
goofy
banking on all
soundtrack.
of you watching it or anything, but I thought you might be interested to watch it. It's only half an hour long. I think it's very fun. It's just this documentary that H.R. Giger directed about his work on making Alien. He made it while they were doing it. So it shows a lot of the process of like making the xenomorph and everything. It's very, very cool. I love it. I'm going to refer to it an awful lot over the course of the rest of the podcast. But
I have
also,
two questions.
Whoa, oh, what's that?
One's more of a statement. I did get to see the Xenomorph suit, and so did Noah, because they have it at the Museum of Pop Culture
Very
in Seattle.
cool. Very cool.
Two, is it Giger?
It is Giger,
Oh.
yes.
It is.
Oh, disgusting. Okay, cool. Thank
Giger.
you for letting me know before I made a fool of
It's
myself on air.
Swiss.
They got it's like a
So-
creaky door
Yeah,
name.
that's part of the reason I mentioned it this early. I wanted to make sure that I got it out there
I-
early. Everyone has heard me
I
say it
appreciate
first.
that. Cool. Okay, we've set a benchmark, and now if we all are saying it wrong, it's because Jeff said it wrong first.
I
true, we can
looked
blame
it up
them.
very specifically.
Jeff.
I learned how to read the like fucking international
Oh.
phonetic alphabet that Wikipedia uses for all their pronunciation shit. And I don't remember how to read it anymore, but it's Giger.
It's really worth learning how to read that, like to like parse those
It is,
pronunciations.
yeah.
Because like it's tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it like helps a lot.
It's just that there's more symbols than I'm used to because I learned how to read English, and English has an impoverished number of characters in it. Like, that's it.
We have letters at home.
Yeah. But the other movie that I watched, which is like an actual movie and not a half-hour documentary about building a monster, was a movie called From Beyond.
I don't know it.
It is an adaptation of a Lovecraft story, but in the manner of an awful lot of Lovecraft adaptations that got made during the 80s, it's like super sexualized. The movie comes across.
yeah.
It's got Barbara Crampton in it. It's the first thing I've ever watched that has her in it, and honestly, I think I might be becoming a Crampton head because
You never
I
watched
thought she was
Reanimator?
really good. No, I have not, because I looked at it and I saw how the setting was changed from the way that the book is, and I decided not to watch it based on that. I just haven't come back around to it yet because I
Have you not
really
seen
like the
Lords of
original,
Salem?
What's up? Is she in that?
She's in Lords. Yeah.
Oh shit! Well, that makes sense. I actually really like Lords of Salem. It's probably my favorite Rob Zombie movie.
God, she's in everything.
She's in an awful lot of stuff. I'm discovering that I really like her though. From Beyond comes across in a couple of times as being like almost discount Hellraiser-ish in a couple of ways,
Okay.
which I really would not expect because it came out like 7 years before Hellraiser did, I think. But I'm pretty sure the Hellbound Heart was already out. And I think maybe an awful lot of that was just kind of stuff that was bouncing around for a lot of people at the time. I really enjoyed it, though. Probably not something I would suggest for the podcast for a number of reasons, but I think it's very fun. Worth checking out.
Too horny for the podcast.
Hell yeah. Oh, the hell yeah wasn't to that. Anyway,
Hell yeah, too horny for
Hell
the
yeah, that's
podcast. I'm into that.
anyone else got ghouls? I don't. I haven't watched
might.
anything. I've been knee deep in writing mode. Oh, Jackson.
I might
Jackson?
actually have a ghoul to Gab.
Oh, yeah? All right, we got a
last
guest
night-
ghoul.
I watched the first episode of Midnight Mass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Honestly,
yeah.
honestly, I gotta say, not that scary. It's just about like a small town with some Catholics. So it's fine. I
That's
don't-
true.
Hey,
That's pretty scary, though. That's
The
pretty
point of the
scary.
series is that Catholicism is just scarier than you think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For one episode in, I'm writing it. I'm just kidding. I liked it a lot, but definitely, it's a horror series, so like the first episode isn't that strong in terms
Right,
of
it's
the horror elements.
establishing. It's
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
establishment character introductions. But Mari and I watched it, and it was really good. We both liked it.
Nice.
Gonna watch some more.
Yeah,
and
nice.
because I'm a guest on the podcast, no one will ever know what I think about it.
that is kind of
Hell
true.
yeah.
Actually,
I'll never check back into. I'm sure I'll like it. I've heard it. I've never actually watched a Mike Flanagan anything.
Wow,
really?
this is a
I
really
know.
good
Yeah.
introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely say this is his best.
It's been on my list for a long time, like literally since it came out. It just hasn't happened for some reason.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
because all of us were talking about it so much, and you value our opinions,
I
right?
don't. I mean, no, I don't know. That's why it was on my list. Actually, yeah. Like you guys
we
literally
did a
are the
whole
reason it was on
episode
my
about it.
list. Yeah, I mean, actually,
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
it's on my list. Like everyone has been
Cool.
like, I like this, and everyone who's like opinion I respect has been like, this is good, or directly you would like this, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's on.
Yeah.
my list. And now
It's
it's,
always
finally.
scary when people are like, "You would like this." It's
Oh,
like
when like
well,
three
I've-
people separately tell you like something, you're like, I guess so.
Yeah.
Legally required to like it now.
Yeah.
Especially if
The
they're
Fall
not
of House
connected.
Usher. The Fall of House Usher is supposed to come out in like a couple weeks too, I think.
October is gonna be such a nightmare time to be a friend with me because because
Just like
I'm
every
gonna
year.
be putting yeah
It's scary. It's a scary month, so it's
but
always
this
good
year
for a
we
nightmare.
also
That's
have
scary.
season
true.
2 of Our Flag Means Death and Fall of House Usher at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah.
So
Is Our
I'm
Flag Means
sorry in
Death
advance.
a scary thing?
No, it's
No,
just
it's
very
just-
gay.
I just really like it.
Okay.
So it's
I feel like
scary if
October
you're
releases are
homophobic,
kind of.
but-
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That's so true.
Mhm.
Anyway, we're ghouls. Ghouls
Emma,
are
do you have
ghouls.
any ghoul?
I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. It's pretty
Oh
scary.
shit! Season
It's-
2's
it's
out. I gotta
pretty
watch
scary.
that shit.
Oh yeah. I just read the latest chapter of the manga today. It's good.
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
start reading the manga
Yeah.
for that one.
Yeah, it's the manga's really good. Honestly, there's a lot to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of things changing over time.
Yeah.
Oh,
but-
sure.
Especially because it's
Jackson,
so far
I
ahead of the
know.
story.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. We won't talk about that anymore.
Nothing's ever set in stone.
Yeah. So how about Alien?
Oh, sorry, that's a scary one.
Welcome back to the Casual Obsession Horror Movie Podcast, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. I'm your host, Jeff. With me today are my hosts, Emma,
Hi.
Noah,
Hey.
Nina,
Hi.
and also our guest host for this week, Jackson.
Hello.
And we are talking about the movie Alien from 1979, directed by Ridley Scott and starring a fucking monster who's in, like, just one of the best designed aliens that I've ever seen. Maybe I'm just an H.R. Giger fan, but, like, I think this thing's fucking great. But what's this
Jeff over
movie
here
about?
virtue signaling, knowing how to say the name.
Like I said before, I just want to make sure that I say it as much as I can early on so everyone knows. What's this movie about, though, actually? The movie Alien is about some space truckers who are bringing a comedically large amount of mineral ore back to Earth from an unknown location, and then their ship's computer wakes them from hypersleep a little bit too soon because there is what appears to be a distress signal coming from a nearby planet. And everything beyond that is spoilers.
34 million tons of raw mineral is far more than comedically large, by the way.
It is an
That's-
absurd amount. It is
I
ridiculous.
can't even.
obscene.
That's like moving the planet. Not quite, but
True.
like
I mean, how much does a planet weigh on average?
At least 8 pounds.
frantic typing. Honestly, yeah, it's
It's
bigger
gotta
than
be
a
more
bread
than
box.
At least
Yeah.
as much as a small dog.
At least, for sure. It's a nice thing about moving things in zero gravity, though. You know, you don't need just give it a little tap and it just keeps
Oh,
going.
that's a really good point.
Yeah.
How
You know,
are
I thought
we?
your
Is it
propulsion
8? Wait,
is-
hold on. This is a really good point. Why are we measuring this in tons? Tons and whose gravity exactly?
This
In
is
Earth
the
gravity,
exact
firstly.
problem
Yeah,
that
they-
I am
they probably do
finding
an
in
Earth
trying to
gravity
Google
tonnage.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Earth gravity tonnage, or they might do. I mean, I think if you're going interstellar, you probably want to
Is
start
that
doing
enough
like
tons?
volume.
Okay, hold on
How
a
many
second.
tons does the moon weigh? And would bringing that many minerals close to Earth cause a problem in the gravitational
Firstly,
field?
yes.
I don't think they bring it all the way to Earth, though. I think they probably
No,
ship
no.
little bits here and there, like truckloads. They got a couple F-150s.
So
Yeah.
I actually do
Um,
want to say a couple things right off the bat in regards to stuff, but go ahead, Jeff.
The amount that Earth weighs is 13,170, followed by 21 zeros pounds.
Those are
Oh, okay.
sextillions.
And
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to run the math to see how many tons that is, but I think it's more than the
you just-
double-digit millions that the thing is described as carrying.
Yeah.
I've proven
Yeah,
my
buildings
point, which is
weigh
that
that
Noah's a
much.
bitch who doesn't know numbers, and that's all I was really trying.
I've been
to do.
saying that since day one.
I
Yeah.
know you have,
Damn.
honestly. I don't know why I ever doubted you.
The moon weighs so many tons that rather than giving you a number, it gives you an equation. And when you
Nice.
try to solve the equation in Google, it gives you another equation. So that's a lot.
We're learning a lot of things
I'm a
today.
huge fan of when science bitches are like, "We won't give you the answer. You have to work for it." Oh, psych! You got to work for that too.
The answer is the equation, you know, because there has to be adjustments
Yeah.
made.
Well, right, yeah. There's no way
Yeah.
to just give you a number the way that we're looking for. That's
They have to give you
actually
an
dumb of
idea.
us,
Okay.
really,
Anyway,
So I want to say a couple things about this movie. Right off the bat, didn't realize this came out in 79.
but... Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
heck?
Oh
I
yeah,
thought it was in the 80s.
it's going full
Yeah,
King
me
Crimson.
too. It's
Really?
yeah. It's like so much more modern on every single like facet than I would expect from a movie from 79. From the storytelling to the like design work to the acting, everything is just like top notch. And then the other thing that you notice immediately just from that, like, you know, however many tons of raw mineral, one thing that I love that this movie does is it's just like, as far as hard sci-fi and like sci-fi talk goes, it's like it does something that is great writing advice. If you don't have to name the thing, if it's not completely like important to the story, don't explain it unless it is crucial to the plot.
Right.
And they do that over and over again through this movie, where something crops up and instead of getting bogged down in the descriptions of what's wrong with the ship or of what kind of mineral they're carrying or how certain like machines work or what the alien is even called or where it came from or what it is or any of or how it like birthed itself out of someone, it just happens in a way that makes enough sense.
Yeah.
And they're like, they totally trust you to just
Yeah.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a problem on the spaceship. The spaceship mechanics are fixing it. Don't worry about it.
They're
Yeah.
working on it.
They're
Yeah,
spaceship
you're not a
mechanics.
spaceship
They know how to
mechanic.
fix the spaceship. And
Yeah.
that's how it should be.
Yeah, it's just what they say, like low pressure in an intake. They must have lost a shield. They never explain what that actually means. Does it prevent the ship from working? It doesn't seem like it. But
It
like,
just sucks, I guess.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
They're
annoying.
trained. They're
tell-
professionals.
They're fixing it. What are you talking about?
It's so well written in that basically apart from one thing, which it's not even that big of a gripe, which is basically just their reaction to intelligent alien life existing.
a little too
and
casual,
everything-
you think?
A little too cash, I think. But for everything else, you can tell by their reaction to it how big of a deal this is within the world. Which is like whether it be the ship or each other's behavior or whatever, they're always pretty much reacting realistically enough that it gives you a good idea of how bad the situation is.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, very, very intricate storytelling from a movie from. I want to know which kind of Bond movie was coming out around that time because it was not as well done as
It
this.
wouldn't be Moonraker yet, would it?
Yeah, Moonraker came out after this.
Oh my god.
Star Wars came out
it's
before
I'm
this.
looking it up. Don't worry.
So
Moonraker
that-
was 79.
Oh shit!
yeah,
it was
Oh
see?
my
Moonraker.
god. Okay.
Holding these two movies up next to each other, no comparison.
No. Alien looks
God, that's
great,
great.
today. It looks amazing to this day.
Alien
like watching
still
it.
looks
does.
good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And an
the
awful
way
lot
that
of
they
it is
use
because of
practical
the amount
effects,
of-
you know.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
it.
that's where it goes. You know, it's a horror
They
movie.
built
Practical
models
effects.
for absolutely everything as much as they possibly could. And I'm going to have
Yeah.
plenty to talk about with that when we get further into Spoiler Town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before we move on a step, I would just love to say on the ship design, because one of the things Jeff is going to mention
Oh, yeah.
is that Giger loves biomechanic. Was that
Biomechanical,
his-
yeah, that's what he
Yeah,
calls his entire
biomechanical.
aesthetic.
That's why all of his stuff looks so like
the
weird
way it
and
is.
also distinct. But I like the difference between the alien ship and the biomechanical design versus the space big rig that is just an ugly sack
Yep.
of shit that
Yeah.
doesn't even have lights. There's like emergency lights that run throughout the entire ship, but the only spot that has well lit anything is like the food area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's such a
a
small
big part
ship.
of that. Yeah,
Mm.
well, it's huge, but the space
Well,
that
exactly,
the crew
yeah.
has to work in is so cramped, and it's it's about capitalism, right? The way that so much of the movie is, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, an awful lot of the big like clash in the design styles is because they had different teams of designers working on the human stuff versus the alien stuff. Everything
And
that's
that's so
non-human in
important.
this
That's so
movie is
smart.
designed by H.R. Giger, and all the human stuff was done by a group of other people, including concept artist Ron Cobb, who has a lot of very interesting ideas that went into his
Mm-hmm.
designs. Once again, getting into that later, though. But what we
It
want
really
to talk
makes a
about
great
right now-
contrast when you're actually looking at the sets.
Absolutely, it does. Oh
Mhm.
my god, right?
You can feel it just in the
Yeah.
the way that like the rooms are. It's great.
Yeah. But before we get into that stuff, what was the critical reception for this movie like, Noah?
Well, I got a couple of numbers to throw at you.
Yeah,
We got an 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb,
right.
a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Ooh.
89% on Metacritic, and for the third week in a row, or third episode in a row, a 4.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Hot damn.
Nice.
Actually
Wow.
insane, by the way.
Now,
Oh, it's an
What the hell?
all-timer.
you did. It is. It really is. Now you did.
No, I mean
also
like
mention,
the 4.3.
You did also mention an Ebert earlier.
Oh, I got an Ebert.
What's
yeah.
Ebert got to say about this?
Well, Ebert, unsurprisingly, is a 4 out of 4 thumbs up. This
Yeah.
is from his 2003 review. All right, I just pulled the first couple sentences here rather than pick and choose because unlike Seven and stuff like that, I think this is just it's a good kickoff.
Yeah.
At its most fundamental level, Alien is a movie about things that can jump out of the dark and kill you. It shares a kinship with the shark in Jaws, Michael Myers in Halloween, and assorted spiders, snakes, tarantulas, and stalkers. Its most obvious influence is Howard Hanks's The Thing, 1951, which was about a team on an isolated outpost who discovered a long dormant alien, bring it inside, and are picked off one by one as it haunts the corridors. Look at that movie and you see Alien in embryo. In another way, Ridley Scott's 1979 movie is a great original. It builds on the seminal opening shot of Star Wars, 1977, with its vast ship in lonely interstellar space, and sidesteps Lucas's space opera to tell a story in the genre of traditional hard science fiction.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, well said.
really, as always, well put, and I agree.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Raj.
Yeah.
But I also got a Twitter Brandon. We finally have Twitter Brandon
we've got
weighing in
enemy
again.
of the podcast,
What's
Twitter,
Twitter
Brandon coming back. Twitter Brandon
Oh,
is just some
okay.
guy named Brandon from Noah's Twitter feed.
There's
No,
like
this is not true. This is not. It's a little more.
okay,
It's
so
not
there's a
fully true.
reason that I followed Brandon in the first place. That is like a personal reason. So I'm not going to get into it on this podcast because it doesn't make sense to. But the important thing about Brandon is he has caused a great deal of strife in my marriage because Nina and I argue about whether Brandon is correct or incorrect about things. Which Brandon would hear this and go, "I'm just a guy who's a janitor and writes about movies. I don't know why people do that."
I didn't even know he was a janitor.
I didn't even know.
Man,
was
he works
alive
for a
until
company
don't-
I used to utilize.
Look, I don't even have that much beef with Twitter Brandon. I just
Anymore.
think he's wrong about things sometimes,
Right.
and that's
He
Let's
is
see what-
comedically wrong in things at times, yeah.
Let's see what
But-
he feels about today.
So, he moved away from rating movies unless they were like a knock it out of the park 10 out of 10 movie. He doesn't give them a number rating anymore. And I didn't copy down whether or not he had rated this at all. So I don't have a number for you. But he says, rewatched for the first time in almost 2 decades, and hot take, it's still a masterpiece. Maybe the most
All right.
perfectly paced film ever made. Every single moment is wound perfectly. Hate that Sigourney was the same age as me when making this. Distressing how cool she is. Completely forgot how stunning it is. Unreal how great it looks in 4K. Few blockbusters look this incredible now. I used to be an Aliens is better than Alien guy, but as of right now, I think I've flipped that opinion. So obsessed with the blue-collar nature to everything, too. The movie rules because they aren't astronauts or scientists, mostly, or badass space marines. They're space truckers hauling cargo that are totally out of their depth. Brilliant decision to every inch of the film.
I hate to say it.
Nice.
I agree with everything he
Twitter
said.
Brandon is on one. He's correct.
Yeah, Brandon.
He is correct,
This
yeah.
is a. This
It's
is
nice to see a win for
significant
Twitter
dub for
Brandon again.
I still I ride a fine line on Aliens is better than Alien discourse.
They're
'Cause
different
it's
movies.
just it's
The
any
approach is
given week I can
entirely
flip flop.
different.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're so different but
It's
so
like,
good
uh,
and sequel. So like
Yeah, well, it's like
the
going
conversation
from the
has
first
to happen.
Terminator to T2, right? It's like you're
Yeah.
going from this like very suspense and tension oriented, like slow moving dark thing to just being an all out action movie, more or less. Like,
well, in
it's a
in
whole
my
different
opinion,
approach.
that's kind of how you have to do it with something like these
Yes.
because the horror only works as long as it's unknown. Like even
Yeah.
by the end of this movie,
Mhm.
we're bordering into action territory because we've learned enough about this thing and we know where it is enough in close quarters that that's all it can be. It can't
Mhm.
be just a horror anymore. And once you've crossed that threshold, it's really, really hard to take it back. So to just lean into it seems to definitely be the way to go.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also like visually, the way that the movie spends so much time not showing you anything. And then by the time you've reached the end of the movie, it's like you've seen everything that you're going to see, and you can't just replay that whole
Right.
sequence of events again in a second movie.
No.
It
Because
doesn't
everyone
work.
already knows what it looks like.
Yeah.
And this is what Stranger Things does wrong, in my opinion, because Stranger Things had that in the first season, and then they keep trying to recapture the horror feeling. And it's like, you guys are basically an action adventure series now, and I need y'all to, like,
Yeah.
figure out what you're doing. But yeah. Boop, boop, boop. R ratings.
What's
How do we feel
our
about
critical
this movie?
reception of this movie? As the host, I'm going last.
Ooh, host privilege,
Yeah,
all right.
I can do what I want.
Oh. I mean, I feel like as a guest I might go first because like I'm here for a reason.
It seems that
You
way.
are here
yeah.
for a
You're
reason. It's that
here
I-
because
it's that I
we're
like that.
covering Alien. Yeah.
It's like an all
Yeah.
timer, as I said earlier. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like it's easily top 5, maybe even top 3.
yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
sometimes at periods in my life I've said it's number 1. You know, I think it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. It's a spot it deserves.
Oh yeah.
Well, if
Would
you were to
you-
give it a number rating out of 10,
Yeah.
what
It's,
would
it's a
you
10,
give?
it's a 10 for me, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a 10.
Mhm.
No
Yeah.
holds barred. Like it gets it. All marks.
You know,
Interesting,
not to
interesting.
hop on Jackson's coattails, but for me it is also a 10. I'm sure that there's things that could be done better.
I can't think
but
of a
like
single
I couldn't
one
name
of
any
them.
of them right now. I love every decision made in this movie, from the obtuse computer who is unwilling to help them when the captain's like, so what do I do about this? And the computer's like, not enough info.
It's like
Classic
that's
mom
I don't
energy.
understand.
we'll get there, but it's one of my favorite things compared between Dallas and Ripley is that she is better at SEO. She just goes in and she asks like better questions and immediately gets the answer that she needs. Oh, it kills me. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Dallas is one of those guys that opens up he opens up Google Chrome
And he types
and in the
Google
top
into the
types
top bar.
google.com
Yep.
and then
yeah.
from there he Googles YouTube.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, Dallas is the type of guy to look
That's
up.
Dallas.
The
Just
autofill
meanwhile,
is
Sigourney,
giving him the
not only
answer,
does she
like,
have
two
everything
characters in, and he
bookmarked.
types the whole thing anyway. Like,
Yeah, that's Dallas. But yeah, this movie is a 10 out of 10 for me. I literally cannot think of a single thing that could be done better or differently that would make it.
Yeah, I really do agree with Brandon's take. I think this is a really perfectly paced movie. You don't notice how, because what is it? It's like a 2-hour movie,
Yeah.
something like that. You don't notice
Just
how long it
slightly
is
under.
because things do just keep like happening, and it's a strong enough aesthetic that it's made me want to get into more like sci-fi stuff again.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, well, I'm really into this idea right now. What if I went out and watched Blade Runner or something? You know, I want more of this, but like specifically this like weird crusty space energy. You
Yeah,
know?
this era where space.
Where everything was made for real, so that everything looked real.
I miss it.
yeah.
It's really, I like crusty space and not shiny space.
Yeah.
I also like hard buttons and switches sci-fi better than touchscreen
yeah.
era sci-fi.
Yeah, true.
If you're sending someone to
100%.
space, it makes more sense. It's less fallible. It's easier to replace and fix.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's like a whole genre of retrofuturism.
Yeah.
Just because like the aesthetics are just so
It's
good
there, yeah.
and satisfying.
If I go to space and they don't give me a big set of switches to go click, 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 I don't want to go.
If there's not
I'm gonna
panel
say, I
after
don't wanna go.
panel of just unlabeled lights that don't seem to signify anything at all, I don't want it.
But they're buttons.
Are they?
I love about the Alien. Some of them might be, but the thing I love about Alien is that like that's not how everything is. It's literally yes, these people are truckers. This is like kind of a piece of shit rig. Like it's kind of like
it's dingy.
it's not
just
obviously it's good. It's
functional.
with the
It's
big company with
utilitarian.
Right, but
Tony.
like,
This isn't
because,
this isn't lush. This isn't luxury. Luxury's back on
sounds-
Earth. Luxury's in the space cruisers. This is you're working.
Mhm.
Like
yeah,
you
because
are
I
a
watched
blue collar
Prometheus a
laborer.
little while ago.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like
And
the ship they take in
yeah, I
Prometheus is fast.
Yeah, I
I-
rewatched that, and they have a nice ship in that because they are a luxury travel
And
ship.
Peter Whalen,
They
yeah.
are not a garbage hauling ship.
We have not got Emma's rating.
We have
I'm sorry,
not.
Emma, yes, I'm
We've got
sorry.
some stuff we got to get through before we get into our more in-depth discussions like this.
Yeah. I feel like I need to clarify my rating, as I normally do.
I expected this.
So, Jackson, you may not know, I hate older movies and have really struggle with them. I'm aware of it. It's a problem. I try my best to go into old movies when we do cover them with an open mind. But specifically 70s movies and like the bad audio quality just really bugs me.
There's a couple of very bad
And-
dubs in this.
Yeah,
like that.
there's throughout the movie the audio quality like bothers me a lot. And despite that, and even though it's not a movie that personally just like grips me the entire way through, and I'm not like incredibly invested the entire way through, but just everything is done so fucking well. Like all of the practical effects, all of the acting, just everything is perfectly done and amazingly well. So this is probably like the only time I'll ever do this where like it's hard for me to explain, and that the audio and like a number of other things bothered me about the movie, but it's still like a 10 out of 10 movie.
Hey.
Let's go.
Oh.
Let's go.
Thank God.
Alright.
Okay,
I was
let's
so
go.
afraid.
Okay, this is the oldest movie that we've ever gotten a rating above 7 from Emma, so
Probably, yeah.
I think it's new old though. You know, it's old, but it doesn't feel like it.
that's the thing. The age
that's the
doesn't
thing.
show. They
and that's where it really is.
Which
like,
is why Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it really is like it's not like a joking metaphor, but it reminds me of the King Crimson album, the Core of the Crimson King, because it's from 1969, but it doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't
And
sound
like people kind of
dated,
get this
yeah.
vibe of it looks and feels almost modern. It doesn't, and if you watched it, you wouldn't say it's from 2013, 2014.
Sure, no.
But you might say mid to late 80s. You might say maybe even 90s if you're ambitious enough.
Yeah.
And so I think it really does hold up well because it gets like an extra decade of being ahead of its time.
Yeah, 100%.
Really, yeah.
And like people lump it in with like, you know, some of the other big like Halloween and like that's a very similar era as well. But then people also will
The
throw in
previous
like
year.
Nightmare on Elm Street and like Friday the 13th. And those are a little later.
It's a little bit later. Yeah.
It's
Friday
a
the
little
13th
bit
wasn't
later.
for another year. Nightmare on Elm Street wasn't for another 5.
Yeah. It's a different decade,
It's-
you know?
It's a
79
different-
Well,
to 80
and-
changes things.
Yeah.
Another thing that blew my mind while we watched this, speaking of it being old, is just that I've been watching a lot of 80s like fantasy movies.
Yeah.
And all of those plot lines are incoherent. Like they
Yeah,
do not
it's
give
batshit.
they do not give a shit about you
Yeah.
as the viewer. So to watch and like everything just happens and new characters are added 30 seconds from the end and all of this stuff.
Yeah,
And
they're just
then-
like, this is
Marvel's
Katana. She's
Eternals.
got my back.
Yeah, exactly. This happens a lot. Specifically, I think the worst offenders were Willow and Legend. Both of those two just kind of chuck characters at you willy nilly, Willow nilly even. But this movie's older than both of those, and it's so much like sharper. It's insane.
It never
Anyway.
once introduces a new character.
No,
They're-
you
they're
get
kind-
your crew.
well,
the
it's
title
very
card
limited.
says, "Okay, we do get." Yeah,
We have one new character. And it's
One
the title
character.
character.
So you knew he was going to show up regardless, you know? Like,
That's true. They didn't call the movie Sigourney.
Jeff.
or in any case, yeah, we got to get out of the rating segment, so I'm going to keep myself a little briefer than I normally am. Unsurprising to anyone since I'm the one who picked this fucking movie, I think it's a 10. What? Who could have seen this
Whoa.
coming?
10s all around.
10's all around. Is that a
Yeah.
common occurrence here?
Ten,
How
ten,
often does that happen?
I think
Oh,
it's
why
only
is it
happened
the
once
second?
before.
This is
Yeah.
only like
This is
the
the second time.
the second time that it's happened, I think, actually.
What did it
yeah.
happen for before?
Well, and especially since we've got you as a
think it was
guest,
The
this is
Wailing.
the greatest number of 10s that we've ever had in an episode, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 I think it was The Wailing
Yeah, I think so.
That's
because
fair,
I
yeah,
was
no.
very proud that I picked a movie that everybody loved and gave 10
Well,
Yeah,
out
The
of 10.
obviously we
Wailing
all
was
gave Midnight
very
Mass
good.
10s, but it's a series,
Yeah,
not a movie.
but that's a series.
I
so
want to
it's a
say
bit
I gave
different.
The Wailing like an 8 or a 9, though, actually.
What?
Maybe
I
Midnight
know.
Mass
I think I was
the
the
one.
dissenting voice on The Wailing, largely just because I didn't understand it on the first watch.
No, I think that you, by the end of the episode, had changed your mind.
Oh,
That
that's
doesn't
true.
count.
Yeah.
It does.
It does count. I count it.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Don't
There's a
take
moral
this from me.
victory
People who
in
David.
that.
change their
Literal
numbers
victory.
frequently say that it counts. That means that it counts.
Well, if you're going to be a jerk about it, then I think this is a 1 out of 10.
Fuck!
Because it's
Oh,
number
you
1 in
ruined
my
it.
heart.
Well, but we still have Jackson, so it's still 4 10s. That's still the
Yeah,
most
it's true.
10s.
That's at least 40.
Yeah. Anyways, though, I mean, you know, there's obviously now we've talked a good bit about this movie, but like, is there like, you know, content that we would want to warn our viewers about in this thing?
Probably like 1 or 2, right?
A couple of things, right? The whole like forced impregnation, violent birth
Very.
thing is
Very much. Yeah.
it's kind of a big
Very
one
much
there.
that.
It's kind of the big thing for
Yeah.
the movie.
But it happens on a man.
It does.
So that's a bit of a subversion.
Yeah,
to that.
Mpreg
And-
warning, everyone.
Yeah, Mpreg warning.
Markiplier.
And that said, like the
fans.
pregnancy aspect of it.
Did you
is
just say
not, like-
Markipreger?
Markiplier fans beware.
Like the pregnancy aspect of it is not like dwelt on by the movie at all. It's worth noting.
No.
It's just that like it kind of does happen.
Yeah, you can't really like it. The dots connect.
Yeah. Apart from that, it's kind of just like, you know, dark, gritty stalking and such, which is like, you know, it's a horror movie, kind of what you might expect.
A lot of
Yeah.
slime.
A lot of slime. There's some stuff that looks
a little goo action.
a little gross. I don't know that this is worth making a whole content warning about, but if you're familiar with H.R. Giger's art and it bothers you, then you won't want to watch this movie. I could very easily imagine someone who like is just very bothered by his style, because like it's, you know, it's weird. I love it, but like it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But
It'd be weird.
yeah, that's about all there is to really warn about the movie, other than like, you know, I mean, We might want to warn people about how scary this movie might be.
Well, I think
We
either
might
Nina
want
or
to.
Noah had said something about the android.
Oh,
And
a
that,
surprise
I don't,
android.
yeah, I don't know if
appearance.
that's like necessarily.
Oh, right.
Like, I don't know where
More
that
the
necessarily
way
fits in.
he's
Yeah.
revealed as an android might be the scariest part.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
True.
And that's also a
Um,
little gross, but is it?
Yeah,
is
I
it
don't know
like-
that it's necessarily like a warning to
Yeah, I
place
don't know.
in.
Yeah. I mean, is it like scary though, Emma?
What a question. What a great question. I feel
What a
like the scariest parts of this movie are due to the audio quality because this movie does do jump scares, and when it does a jump scare, it's just the most high-pitched like
Yeah.
like audio
Sting, yeah.
kind of like sound.
Yeah, it's like
it's
a
the
little
weirdest fucking thing.
blown
I
out,
hate
distorted
it.
kind of sounding at times, a little
Yeah.
distorted and screechy.
Yeah, and it makes me just kind of like wince each time because it's just uncomfortable.
It's just an unpleasant
and
sound more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for that sound alone, I'm giving it a 4 out of 10 scary.
All right, that's the highest number we've gotten on recent episodes, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But what happens in the rest of this movie, Jeff? Do you
Well,
want to let us know
I can fill
as
you
we
in.
go into our spoiler section?
I can fill you in on a little bit of that. Reading from the Wikipedia plot synopsis.
Whoa.
The commercial space tug Nostromo is returning to Earth with a 7-member crew in stasis. Captain Dallas, Executive Officer Kane, Warrant Officer Ripley, Navigator Lambert, Science Officer Ash, and engineers Parker and Brett. Detecting a transmission from a nearby moon, the ship's computer, Mother, awakens the crew. Per company policy requiring any potential distress signal be investigated, they land on the moon despite Parker's protests, sustaining damage from its atmosphere and its rocky landscape. The engineers stay on board for repairs while Dallas, Kane, and Lambert investigate the terrain. They discover the signal originates from a derelict alien ship and enter it, losing contact with the Nostromo. Ripley deciphers part of the transmission, determining it as a warning, but cannot relay the information to those on the derelict ship. Now, this right here that I've just said is almost the entire first third of the movie. It's told in a lot of very slow, kind of Kubrick-y shots, because there's an awful lot of 2001: A Space Odyssey influence in both the shooting, the theming, and like some of the events of this movie. But there's like a significant sequence where they're all like waking up from the hypersleep and figuring out that they've been woken up too soon. They're nowhere near Earth, all of this. And there's a good deal of characterization of all of our characters over the course of that and like the landing sequence where we get like Parker and Brett discussing how they think that their pay is inadequate relative to everyone else's. And in the landing sequence, we get a great scene where we get to see everyone being really good at their jobs. And also, like, you know, it says the ship sustains a little damage. It's a tense scene, but the landing process is just so, like, natural to these guys because it's their job. They all look, like, a little bit bored the whole time they're doing it. I love it.
Honestly, it kind of reminds me of like how things will be because I work in like a live like kind of environment and like literally
right.
sometimes things will be like really bad, but you're just like,
You got to keep going. Like, what are you going to do?
whatever happens is gonna happen. We're just like we know more or less what to do. You just
Right?
keep clicking the buttons you gotta click,
Freaking out doesn't help anything.
and it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So on the derelict ship, they discover this absolutely immense alien corpse that seems to have been dead for quite some time. It's kind of like mummified by the atmosphere around it. And it's got this like bursted out kind of hole in its chest. And they can't figure out what would have caused that. It looks like he exploded from the inside. And why is he growing out of his chair and other such questions? So back to the synopsis here. Meanwhile, Kane discovers a chamber containing hundreds of large egg-like objects. When he touches one, a creature springs out, penetrates his helmet, and attaches itself to his face. Dallas and Lambert carry the unconscious Kane back to the Nostromo. As the acting senior officer, Ripley refuses to let them board, citing quarantine regulations. But Ash, the science officer, overrides her decision and lets them inside. Ash attempts to remove the creature from Kane's face, but stops when he discovers that its extremely corrosive acidic blood could hurt Kane and potentially damage the hull. It does actually burn through like 3 floors of the ship. It later freely.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty. They got a
It's
whole
really,
scene
really
where they're
cool.
like, running, chasing down ladders and stuff, trying to get down to the next floor and find where it's dripping through. Very good sequence. The creature, the facehugger, later freely detaches from Kane's face and is found dead elsewhere in the room. The ship is partially repaired, and the crew prepares to continue their journey back to Earth. Kane awakens with some memory loss, but seems to be otherwise unharmed. During a final crew meal before returning to stasis, he suddenly chokes and convulses. A small alien creature bursts from Kane's chest, killing him, and escapes into the ship, with Ash dissuading the rest from killing it. After ejecting Kane's body out of an airlock, very unceremoniously, I might add, the crew attempts to locate the creature with tracking devices and capture it with nets, electric prods, and flamethrowers. Brett follows the crew's cat, Jones, into a landing leg compartment where the now fully grown alien attacks Brett and disappears with his body. It kind of drags him up into the air ducts. After a heated discussion, the crew decides that they have to chase it in so that they can use the air duct system to kind of, use the flamethrowers to chase it, kind of corral it into an airlock so that they can vent it out as well. Captain Dallas enters the ducts, but it ambushes and kills him. Lambert, realizing that the alien intends to kill the crew one by one, implores the others to abandon the ship and escape in its small shuttle, but Ripley, now in command, explains that it will not support 4 people and insists on continuing Dallas's plan of flushing the alien out and putting it out through an airlock. Accessing Mother, the computer, Ripley discovers that the company has secretly ordered Ash to return with the alien and to consider the crew as expendable. It turns out that basically the company was always aware of this alien ship, and part of the reason for their their return trip to be getting sidetracked by it is that the company knew there was a creature there and wanted to have it returned, and the crew's lives were just considered to be expendable. Ripley is understandably very angry about this. She confronts Ash, who tries to choke her to death. Parker intervenes and clubs Ash, knocking his head right off, revealing him to be an android, and some weird white fluid just starts shooting everywhere. It is actually not milk. It is colored water that they used as the prop. I thought for sure it would have been milk, but apparently it's not.
Can you imagine how bad that set would smell?
God, and that's
awful.
the reason
cleanup would be-
that's the reason that they didn't actually, is they already ran into problems with the thing exploding out of Kane. They did use some like real blood and animal guts to make that look
Also-
as grody as it is, and it smelled terrible apparently.
And what's the word? Have you heard like the rumor? I don't know if this is ever confirmed that the crew wasn't aware of the full extent of the scene that was going on.
I was going to talk about this actually. There is.
Do you want to wait
partial-
on that, or do you want to go over it?
I mean, since we've brought it up, I might as well. They were partially aware of it. They were also aware that something was being held back from them.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like super surprised. It was just kind of like something dramatic is going to happen. And only like 2 people, I think, like 2 of the actors were aware. One was John Hurt, who plays Kane, the guy who gets exploded out of, and the other was Tom
Fair.
Skerritt, who plays Dallas. He just accidentally was present for a meeting where the scene was discussed, and Ridley
That's
Scott
so
asked
funny.
him not to talk about it.
Well, and if you think about it, that's kind of how the characters in the scene are. They know that
They know
something's
something's
up.
happening. Yeah. So it's like, it's not as though it ruins anything, right? But what they weren't aware of is that the blood was going to shoot everywhere. Like they saw that there were screens set up and that everyone off camera had like raincoats on, so they knew something was happening, right? But they didn't know blood was getting shot directly onto them, so their reactions to that are mostly pretty genuine. But they did know that stuff was happening.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right, anyways. So Parker, Ripley, and Lambert reactivate Ash's head. They kind of like plug it back in so that he can talk, but he can't do anything. And they learn that he was assigned to ensure the creature's survival. He expresses admiration for the creature's psychology, which is like, unhindered by conscience or morality. And he kind of taunts them a little bit about their chances of survival. So Ripley cuts off his power, and Parker incinerates him with a flamethrower.
They're so mean to him.
I'm going to be honest,
So-
I would do the same.
Yeah.
I liked that he expressed admiration for the alien not having a conscience because that implies that he has
That he
one
feels
and he
bad.
doesn't like it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I love that
He
so
deserves to
much.
feel bad. He's a piece of shit. Anyways,
No.
the remaining crew decides
It's like, go off.
the remaining crew decides to self-destruct the Nostromo and escape in the shuttle, but then Parker and Lambert are ambushed and killed by the creature while they are gathering life support supplies. Ripley initiates the self-destruct sequence herself, but finds the alien blocking her path to the shuttle. She retreats and attempts unsuccessfully to abort the self-destruct. With no further options, she flees to the shuttle carrying Jones, the cat, and narrowly escapes as the Nostromo explodes. But then, as she prepares for stasis, she discovers that the alien is on board, having wedged itself into a narrow space. So she puts on a spacesuit and uses some gas to flush the creature out of the corner. It begins to approach her, but before it can attack, she opens the big-ass airlock door on the back of the shuttle and almost blasts it into space. It kind of catches itself on the door frame, and then she shoots it with a grappling hook. The airlock door begins to close as the alien flies out. The gun flies out of her hand, and the airlock door closes on, like, the cable. So the alien is kind of tethered to the back of the shuttle by this thing. It pulls itself into an engine exhaust, and then Ripley turns on the engines and fries it to a crisp before blasting it away into deep space. So she records a final log entry, and she gets into the stasis pod with Jones to prepare for the trip back to Earth. Roll credits.
Whoa.
Does the Wikipedia say that? Roll credits?
It does not. I added that. I had a little poetic license thrown
You
in.
gotta
Nice
add
touch,
a little
nice touch.
flair.
Little
Yeah,
zhuzh.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I
a
liked
little sprinkle of salt
Hello.
there, you know?
it.
Just this once, though. Don't do it again.
Oh, my bad. I'll be a little more conservative with my future Wikipedia synopses.
Be a little more what?
Just include
Yeah,
like a little
please
like
do.
slur.
I want to talk about how the aliens' jaws were made out of shredded condoms.
Yeah, isn't that fucking cool? You can
That's
see
so
it
cool.
happen if you watch Giger's documentary. There's a scene where you watch them like cutting a condom apart and feeding it into like the sculpture of the alien's head, and then they just dump KY jelly all over that son of a bitch.
There's something
Okay.
poetic
Yeah,
about
let's
that, though,
go.
right? There's something poetic about the force,
The condoms and the
birthing
jelly. Okay.
you know.
I'm fairly
Before
sure
we
it's
start-
very, very intentional.
With the penis shape of the head? Correct. Can I talk
Yeah.
about a
Giger
couple
design.
things I
Of course
found?
there's going to be dicks just everywhere, right? Like,
Okay, so a couple things before we get into gushing about how good this movie is, which I will happily do. I want to talk about some unintentionally hilarious shit in this
Oh,
movie.
absolutely. Or intentionally, because there's
Or
not like a
intentionally.
lack of intentional humor in the movie.
Number one, the way that the baby xenomorph streaks across the table
So
when it
good.
first
It's
pops
so
The
good.
noise
out.
it makes is always so
Yeah.
funny to me.
He just goes like, ee, like runs away.
Yeah.
It always reminds me of those basilisk lizards, the ones that run on water, the way they're just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah,
"Whoa."
exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Like, how
looks
does
like that.
evolution decide this was a good idea?
Right? How is that the way that you run across water? It annoys
works,
me,
you know?
honestly. Like, it's possible to run on water, but you have to look that dumb the whole time? Shit.
But at what cost?
What a cruel
Number
trick
two,
by God.
Anytime they do run into the alien and he just goes bah with his hands out.
It does look a little funny. Just in
He
the
was like,
couple
"Bleh."
of like there's like literally I think like 2 shots where you get to see
Yeah.
the xenomorph and you think to yourself, that is a man in a rubber suit. And both times it's
Okay.
when he's doing that exact thing with his hands.
Can I talk about the man in the rubber suit?
100% we can
This
talk
is-
about the man in the rubber suit.
So I had seen the suit and I know how big the suit is.
Yeah.
And we know that I am a huge Doug Jones fan over here.
Right.
And I like creature actors.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never looked up the man who played the xenomorph before. He is
He's like
beautiful.
7
He's
feet
him.
tall
He's
and
an-
he's
also
him.
yeah,
He's-
fucking look at him.
he
Oh my
is-
god.
a looker
Yeah.
and he is very, very tall.
Literally
so,
like 6'11", I think.
Yeah.
Like huge.
His
Um,
name is Bolaji Badejo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one correctly.
Well, we may never know unless someone corrects us, in which case, please do if that was wrong.
In which case,
Or tell us
it's
it was
also
right
gonna
if it was.
It's gonna be so hard to correct you on that because what are they gonna do? type it out. We already saw it typed out.
Exactly.
I understand.
yeah.
Discord does voice messages now, which is a
I
horror
will
in of
not
itself.
listen to them.
I will not listen to them. But yeah, that's like there are a couple shots where you're like, that looks like a man in a suit.
Right.
But you like the man in the suit is 6'10" or more. So like
Yeah.
even if that's a man in a suit, that's a really tall man in a suit, which is scary in its own way.
Yeah, he's still a little bit bigger than you expect a dude to just be.
Right, exactly.
Also, I just looked up the pronunciation. I did it just a little bit wrong. The J's are harder. It's Balaji Badejo.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. But yeah, no, that was like the two funniest things to me was the little streaking man.
Yeah.
And also the fact that Parker incinerates Ash. Very funny to me.
He's just mad at him.
Well, I mean, it's kind of his
Also-
fault directly.
He's killing
Also,
them,
Ash-
so like
Ash letting Ripley find out the purpose of the mission and then just like sitting next to her while she reads it.
right,
and
the way
then
he's
going-
just standing there in the room, like yeah, check
he's
it
like,
out.
he's like, yeah, about that. And she's like, oh shit. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that's like just humorous, not funny, but like
Mhm. I love the
I
scene
laughed.
where Ripley like goes down to C deck to see Parker and Brett, to try and like I don't know, have something to do with the repair process. It's never really quite clear. And they start like talking to her about the pay situation and stuff, and she more or less just says, "Shut up! You're gonna get what's required of you of like by law. You're going to get a full share because it's like a legal requirement. You're bitching about a problem you don't actually have." And she walks away, and the whole time they've been shouting over these, like, you know, steam just shooting out of these valves
Oh,
and
yeah.
pipes all over the hallway. And as soon as she walks away, Parker just reaches over, turns a valve, and it all stops.
that was like some of the most. That's another thing I love about this movie. It's all the conversations feel like very
They're
realistic.
just
like,
coworker relationships, right?
Coworker
Yeah.
relationships.
There's not a whole lot of
The-
like movie dialogue sounding lines in any part of this movie because it's all just people talking to their coworkers. It's all just shit you say while you're working. And they're annoying
that
each
in
other on
mind-
purpose, the way that you do with your coworkers.
How long is it going to take to fix this? 13 hours. It's going to take at least 25 hours to get this done.
How long will it really
And, like,
take?
With that in mind, it makes the lackluster reaction to potentially intelligent alien life make more sense because one, these are truckers, and if you run into weird shit while you're on the job, you're just like,
You're
this
too
is
annoyed
fine.
by it. I mean, Parker pretty much says it at the beginning of the movie, right? He's like, I don't want to investigate this. I want to go home and party. And it's
Well,
like,
I
yeah,
was getting there
these
before.
guys
We're
are
like, that's going to
just-
be night shift's problem.
Yeah, they're just on the tail end of the longest shift of your fucking life. And they
Well,
want to just
and then-
go home and be done.
and then you have Kane, who is the nosy one, and he's the one who dies.
Uh-huh.
Well, and the other
Well.
thing about Kane is that he's like kind of telegraphed to be a kind of like main character early on.
He's the first guy we
because he's
see.
He's the
Yeah.
first guy to wake
Mhm.
up. He's the nosy one. He's the leader. Like he's the one. And then and this is something like Nina's strong female character
This
hour
is exactly
made
what
for
I was
Ripley.
about to start talking about. Yep.
Is Ripley is exactly the kind of character that when like earlier wave feminists used to talk about the like stop using the word bitch and bossy.
Mm.
This is Ripley was made for this because she is just oftentimes just bringing up like very common sense shit.
Practical
to
concerns.
the
established protocol even.
Like
Yeah,
right away being
just-
like, hey guys, quarantine because you had a contact
could
with an
kill
alien life
all
form
of
that
us,
knocked
we
you
don't know.
unconscious and you could kill everyone on board the ship.
Yeah.
She is
And
like
like yeah.
incredibly reasonably smart, not to the point where you think like this character is a Mary Sue or whatever. She's literally just doing her job and she's a practical person, and that's like something that we get about her, and everyone's constantly talking about her behind her back.
Yeah,
and,
they're
like
annoyed
acting
by
like she's
her.
such a bitch.
She says she's coming
And-
down to the lower deck to see Parker and Brett, and they're like, what the hell's she coming down here? She better not get in my way.
Yeah, and well, I do feel like they would have acted that way if Dallas or Kane had
100%.
come down as well.
Yeah.
it's like got to be intentional that this character is our end game, our final girl, so to speak. But go ahead, Jeff.
Well, and in that knowledge, it's kind of interesting that in the earlier parts of the movie, we don't really get very much from her for a while. It's several minutes. She's in several scenes before she gets any kind of a shot that's actually dedicated to her. I think her first two spoken lines, she's off screen for them. She's off screen for a lot of her dialogue over the rest of the movie, actually. The movie doesn't spend a lot of its energy convincing you that she's the main character. It's just that she's the one left at the end. I love that personally.
What she reminded me of, and I told Noah while we were watching, in season 10 of Hell's Kitchen, there is a chef who just doesn't really like stir shit up, doesn't really do anything like fucking remarkable or anything, and then somehow she ends up being in the final two, and it turns out like she's not just incredibly competent, she's a really strong leader, and she's got a lot more going on than we were led to believe, and now she's been the sous chef on Hell's Kitchen for several seasons. Chef Christina, my favorite, the love of my life. But she, like, we're watching Ripley, and that's who it is to me, is like just quiet, competent, not trying to be the center of attention or be the funny one, but getting the job fucking done.
Yeah.
Not that quiet's a word
I love her for that.
I would use
There's
for her.
something to be said about somebody who knows how to mind their own damn business, you know?
She does.
She's quieter than a lot of the others.
Well, she gets in people's faces when they're doing stupid things. And that's
when it's her business. When
Yeah,
it matters.
when it starts
when
to
it's actually
matter.
important.
Yeah.
Like she's not just being nosy.
Mm-hmm.
So early on, I watched this movie first a long time ago.
Right.
To the point where I almost might as well have not seen it.
Oh. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I watched a lot of stuff.
Sure.
All at once, and a lot of things kind of blur together, especially sci-fi. And this is one of those that's like a classic. It's the same thing with The Dark Knight. I watched a lot of like the 2000s superhero movies at once, right when I was getting into that genre, and rewatching The Dark Knight, I'm like, oh, this is the movie that happens in.
Yeah.
So early on into Alien, I'm like, one of these fuckers is a robot. I remember that. I don't remember if the crew knows that. I just remember that one of these fuckers is a robot. I totally thought, just based on the questions Ripley asks Ash, that she knew. Because her questions are very, why are you disobeying protocol? You're literally not able to do that
and he
in a
very
way.
casually talks about how, like, he's still collating when she asks him for opinions on the information they've gained and stuff. And he talks about Mother the same way. Dallas refers to Ash and Mother as, like, almost a unit. He asks for their opinions, and he says anything from you or Mother, as though they're, like, kind of the same thing. But then Parker is shocked when his head comes off, and it turns out that he's an android. So I kind of got the impression that, like, maybe some of them were aware, but others were not. I don't know.
It was like a need-to-know kind of thing?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knew is the thing. I think you or Mother was because,
Science officer.
Chief Science Officer.
Sure, yeah.
You also use the computer. Do you have anything for me? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think the disobeyment of protocol question was literally just, the chain of command here. Why did you risk getting in a lot of business trouble over that? Because also, like, the questions that were asked about him when Ripley was just like, hey, what's with Ash? Do you know this guy? And Dallas is like, no.
Yeah, apparently they had somebody else, and then, like, right before they shipped
for
out,
several
he got
voyages.
Replaced.
Yeah, like
And they
a
had a
regular
consistent
member of the
guy.
crew. It's so well done. There's the seeds of kind of just suspicion and discord in there.
He's a little bit weird and cagey for an awful lot of the movie. So then by the time he
And
betrays them, it's
also-
almost not even surprising.
He doesn't the other thing is, I don't think he really ever fully lies to them in like a very specific way, when, especially to do with Kane. When they're like, how's Kane doing? He's always like, come look, come see for yourself.
Right, yeah.
You know, he never says Kane is fine, Kane is doing better. He says, come see.
Take a look.
And lets them make their own judgment so
Yeah.
that he's completely like blameless in
And
that.
he very frequently is like just suggesting things that later turn out to be true. So it's clear that like he just already has some knowledge.
And it kind of like the movie also, like, given that he's an android, it future proofs itself from a lot of what like the viewer might be, like the type of person who watches a movie in 20 minutes and they're like, that's a plot hole.
Right.
No, you haven't watched the
Yeah.
movie yet. You shut up. like, oh, why would he override quarantine? Maybe because his directive from the company was to override the quarantine breach to allow the thing on the spaceship. Like, why would Kane touch the egg? And he's a little curious, and maybe the company knew that they had someone with an inquisitive and curious mind that wouldn't do the thing they should do in a situation like this, and maybe that's why they chose this particular vessel to do this mission.
Might be,
Like,
yeah.
A lot of it makes sense in hindsight when you look at it being orchestrated by the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like additionally they said fuck quarantine again when the guy wakes up and they're immediately like, yeah,
just
come
go
out of the
into
med bay, let's eat a meal.
masks, no
yeah,
nothing.
celebrate.
They just
Yeah.
go in, they're like, COVID's over. There's nothing to worry about.
Well,
Yeah.
because who would stop them at that point? Ash would be the only one with the like kind of protocol to stop them at that point,
Uh-huh.
and,
And he
he
didn't wanna
doesn't
do
want
that.
to. So yeah, just let him out. Oh God, I love Ash as a character because this is something that with my vague knowledge of the more recent sequels, I this comes back to my little thesis about this movie, which is that less is more. The reason Ash works so well is because we don't know his personal feelings on the matter very much. We know he might have feelings based on how he talks about the alien. We don't know what he's capable of emotionally. We don't know what robots in this world, like how much you're able to program them. Androids. We don't know how well we're able to program them, like how much are they able to make their own decisions, like all of this stuff. And you can kind of get that very special like sweet spot with Ash that you kind of get as well with Data in Star Trek of just human enough, but then when they're making decisions, sometimes they make a decision only a computer would make. And I love that. But then in more recent films with Michael Fassbender's character, they really want to get to touchy-feely questions about life emotional.
boy.
And they want to answer all of these things.
I know the scene.
This starts in the second one as well, right? With Lance Henriksen.
I'd
Yeah,
say that they're
I think-
British too. Always. Androids are British.
Androids are British.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think that Ash is a very special character. We don't get a lot of
he's
him.
cool.
But I think if we got much more of him, he wouldn't be as iconic of an android character as he is.
And that's kind of how it is with all the characters as well, right? Is if we got too much more
Genuinely,
from
yeah.
any of them, they would kind of lose a lot of what makes them the way that they are. I love especially
That's the whole story.
the amount that we
Yeah,
get.
that's-
Well, yeah, really. I love especially though the amount that we get from Captain Dallas and from Brett. Because with Brett, the scenes that we see him with the entire group early on, he's the one kind of spearheading the discussion about his and Parker's pay being inadequate. And after they get shut down so hard on all of that stuff, he's also kind of just very casually talking about the way that the corporation doesn't care about their lives and stuff like that. And that's why they don't get paid very good for the amount of work that they do and blah, blah, blah. And then in all the group scenes after that, did you catch this? He like just kind of like has shut down in talking to the rest of the crew.
Well, they make fun of
They
him
make
too.
fun of him for it. There's
for
the one
doing
scene
that.
where all he says is, yeah. No matter what anyone says to him, and they're all like making fun of him as it happens, it gets all the way to the point where everyone's leaving the room. And he just goes, yeah, as he walks out behind everyone else. I love
it's-
this.
it's fair.
I love it.
He kind of resigns to the fate of like realizing almost immediately, company probably did this.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah,
we're-
nobody cares.
If they
Here we are.
like, our lives are,
Yeah.
disposable to them.
But then with Captain Dallas, what I really like is that he is always making these decisions that are, putting everyone else in danger. But when he sees something where, like, performing a specific task will very directly put the task performer in danger, he refuses to let anyone else take that. Did you notice that? Ripley volunteers to go into the vents
Yeah.
first, and he says, no, I'm going into the vents. Before that, when they put together the away team to go investigate the derelict, he's the first one to be putting on his spacesuit, and it's just a matter of who else is going with him.
Yeah.
I kind of like
and
that.
at the time, Tom Skerritt was a much more developed and like had much more of an acting history as like an established actor.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a no-brainer to people watching the film for the first time. Oh yeah, clearly this is the lead guy.
Yeah, between
He's
him and
taking
Kane,
charge.
it's
He's in
kind of
ch-
like one
Yeah.
of these two guys. And Sigourney Weaver was
And then
like
Kane
an
gets
unknown
sick,
at
and
the
you're like,
time.
oh, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once the chest burster scene happens, they're like, oh yeah, Dallas, he's taking charge.
Right.
He's going to the vents first, and it's kind of like it's cool that they took a really hard turn.
Yeah.
Oh God, Ripley.
I like it a lot.
Ah, Ripley.
Oh,
So-
Ripley.
Can I say something about Sigourney Weaver really quick?
We're going to say
Is
an
it
awful
nice?
lot of things about Sigourney Weaver today, I think.
Okay, so Sigourney Weaver's very pretty.
Yes, correct.
Also, it's really funny that she and John Hurt are not very far apart in age at all. But if you look at pictures of the two of them from now, it's incredible.
Well, John Hurt's
Sigourney
dead
Weaver.
now. That's not a fair comparison.
Right. If you look at
John
the
Hurt looks like shit. You're right.
Yeah. Well,
If
yeah,
you look
like,
at the
even
two of
she's-
them-
back then and more recently, he even in the movie, he looks way older than she does.
yeah. She's aged very gracefully. I thought she was in
Oh,
her
yeah.
60s.
See, that's the
She
thing.
is
The
not.
thing that I am always saying about Sigourney Weaver is that, like, no matter what part of her career you catch her in, she is always the most beautiful that you have ever seen her. It's
Haha.
weird. I don't know how she does it.
So I get giddy about Sigourney Weaver.
She's great. It's wild to me. Like, we have talked a lot about other movies where you're like, oh, this actor was actually being considered for X role or whatever. But like for Ripley, it was between Sigourney Weaver and Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Which
Oh
is
shit! Really?
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think
And
I
it
was-
didn't
oh,
it specifically didn't go to Meryl Streep because like her partner died at the time and she was mourning
Oh,
her.
That
Oh.
sucks.
Or mourning him. And
Ah, man,
yeah.
Emma, you
Aw.
can't just slip by Meryl Streep into a conversation like that. I got
Dangle it
so
and pull it
excited
away.
for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would have been so interesting because can you imagine action Meryl Streep for the or Sigourney Weaver in Devil Wears
can't.
Prada? Like, what if we just
I-
flipped those?
I
two?
can't imagine Meryl Streep in Aliens. It just doesn't.
No.
It doesn't
Yeah, I
click.
don't know.
The sequels
Yeah.
wouldn't have ever happened.
Meryl Streep would have been recast in Aliens.
She's
Oh.
too
Yeah,
she's too
true.
regal. Sigourney Weaver is classy, but she has like I believe she could beat the shit out of me.
That's like the.
Sometimes
that's
I
the-
wish
You'd
you
let
would,
her
you
beat
know?
the shit
I
out of
would
you.
let her.
That's the blue collar trucker vibe, you know.
It really it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to hear something else about the casting of this movie, though, because I think this is a very important thing to talk about with this movie, is when it was written, this movie was written largely by Dan O'Bannon, who's the same guy who later went on to write Return of the Living Dead, which is a very fun and very stupid movie. When he and the other writer were putting the script together, the script was actually written genderlessly. There were no gender-specific pronouns, and the characters only had surnames. And given that that was the writing environment, I think it's especially hilarious that the cat's name is Jones. So apparently neither of the two of them had ever considered casting Ripley as a woman specifically, but they wanted every casting to be open to just whoever was going to be the right choice. Part of the
You
thinking
know, if they had
being-
an orange cat in mind, it
In
makes
the
sense that that would be the only
70s.
gendered name.
In the late 70s? That's insane. Because
right.
that's how I like
right?
I like writing stuff like that now, and I've talked about this in regards to sexuality.
Sure.
All characters are bi until they prove to me as the writer otherwise. Like if a character just doesn't have chemistry with the opposite sex, I guess they're just straight gay. But like that's something that like feels so freeing as a writer, and to think of them doing that in
Right.
the 70s is
Okay.
and of course it working the way that
See,
it
and
did
this
is so
is
interesting.
This is a thing where I think it's relevant also to look at the processes of putting together like the various Star Trek series and stuff. Because like I know Next Generation came out like way after this, but I think the thinking is relevant to mention. When they cast Patrick Stewart as Picard, right? It was a little bit criticized by a couple of people who went to like Gene Roddenberry and basically said, "This is a little odd. Don't you think that by the 24th century they might have like cured baldness? Why would you hire a bald guy?" And his answer to this was, "Don't you think that by the 24th century people won't care about stuff like that anymore?"
Get
So
his
the thinking
ass.
going into Alien, I think, was surely by the year 2122, when this takes place, we will have run out of misogyny by then, right? But capitalism will be unaltered.
This is so true. And also, again, like, even written genderlessly, just with there is a familiarness as like women in the workplace vibes to how Ripley is treated, whether or not it's like written genderlessly. The misogyny that's there is subtle and familiar and believable
Right.
for where we might be, where a woman can be third in command on this trucker ship. But people are still gonna be like, wow, what a bitch.
But also, like, I don't think anybody ever actually calls her a bitch. The entire movie.
No, they don't.
They don't hit
And
her
if they
with
do,
anything.
it's
the
never
attitude.
because of like her being a woman.
Right,
It's just
yeah.
'cause, like,
Right.
I don't think
they don't
anybody.
wanna do work.
I don't think anybody does at all, though. Even when Brett and Parker are like very actively complaining about the threat of her presence, they don't say that. They just say, "What's she doing coming down here? She'd better not get in my way." Stuff that you could be
Which-
saying about anybody.
Yeah,
Right.
it's more of a corporate thing that they're upset with.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
I will say though, I fully agree with that. I do think that those things are the kind of things that guys will say in the workplace
yes.
to then use as an excuse of I wasn't being misogynistic. I would have said that about anybody.
100%.
But I think in this case, it's not intentional. It just ends up working that way specifically because of like how it feels like that would happen to anyone. It ends up being really interesting as well because that's someone once told me that they had never read women written the way that I write them, and I don't think that's necessarily because I do anything differently. I just think that's because a lot of the time when women are being written, it's with the big woman lens over them.
Yep.
And when you're just writing a person,
If you could imagine such a thing.
the differences can still be there in meaningful ways, like that the gendered like society we live in can still affect the character in very specific ways, but the character can still like just not be a quote unquote like strong female character in like the bad way. Like Ripley and the other female character on board who is the anxious one, TM.
Lambert.
Oh, that Lambert, yeah, she also doesn't feel like she was written as the woman character, like because she wasn't, because they weren't,
Right.
because they were written gender neutral, and that makes their characters so much more believable. I remembered a thing I was going to say, but I've been talking a lot, so I'll let you guys go.
Well, I mean, like, in terms of, like, Lambert being, like, the anxious one, like, I feel like you can kind of track the survivability of each member of the Nostromo crew in order of, like, not how good they are at staying cool under pressure necessarily, but how willing they are to, like, just kind of keep rolling when things happen. Like, the reason Ripley survives all the way to the end is largely luck, just because she wasn't the one in XYZ situations where people died, right? But also because she never pauses in between doing things. She's always got the next thing that should be done just in her head, and she goes and she does it, even all the way to the end when she's in the shuttle and she has to start singing to herself to try and like force herself to just keep moving. She still knows exactly what to do next. There's no planning pause. She goes directly to hide in that closet because that's where the spacesuits are.
She's so smart.
She always
and this
knows
is like
the next move. Yeah.
it's apparent through the whole. If she went in the vents instead of Dallas, she would not have died there because she would have been asking clarifying questions of Lambert instead of charging ahead.
So related to Ripley kind of like singing towards the end just to kind of like get herself to keep moving forward. That was like something that Sigourney Weaver came up with
idea.
and the producers hated because the rights to the song were so fucking expensive. It's
Oh my
really
God.
fucking funny.
Yeah.
That's so
we
good.
were talking last episode about Seven and how it seemed like there were a lot of people involved in the project who really cared about making sure it was all it could be. This is definitely another one of those. Although there's this really funny thing that I ran into where if you just go to the IMDb trivia and scroll for a minute, a really interesting narrative will begin to take form. And this narrative is Ridley Scott and his repeatedly foiled attempts to ruin the movie. It seems like he was having a lot of ideas that would not have improved the movie at all. And repeatedly, he was just getting shut down by people with more power who told him he wasn't allowed to do his idea.
Well, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
respectfully to the guy who made the movie, right? You see Prometheus, and
Yeah,
there's a
you
whole lot
see-
of people that talk about that too,
Exactly.
and a lot of the things people hate are specifically things Ridley Scott would not back down
Specifically
on,
stuff
but
that
they
he
had
came up with
another option
for this one, and that he got
and
shut
everyone
down
who's
on.
heard the other option, people are like, that's way better. But like direct alien connection, he was trying to keep Prometheus separate, right? And he's just like, no, it's better to keep it totally separate. And everyone hated that because everyone's like, how is this connected? We don't understand how this is connected. This could be better. He's just not
Sometimes
an
you don't
idea
great
get
at what he
things.
does. but
he's good at
his
doing the
thing is
directing
not
part,
exactly.
right? Because there's a lot of
It
great
feels-
performances, great shots and shit. He did a lot of the camera work in this himself, actually. But he's just not a good dude for story and character things.
No.
It seems like he's not. It feels very George Lucas core, which is very ironic.
I was gonna bring that
Sci-fi
up.
directors do you like?
Yeah, there are so many like really amazing franchises that started off with like directors and creatives who did an amazing job because they had a team around them that would tell them like, that's too ridiculous, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
But then as these like franchises became so huge, they were like, oh, all hail the great creator, and they get this kind of deification status of like, oh, they can do no wrong, and
And
then
then
they're
James
allowed
Cameron
to do
makes
whatever the
Avatar
fuck they
2,
want.
and
Yeah.
Because
And
like casting
here's the
directors
thing.
don't get their name on the box.
yeah.
here's the thing though, because like the other thing is your head's got to get bigger when you're succeeding as much as like George Lucas, right? Because I keep myself in check on that. I don't have enough constant feedback to help keep me in check on whether or not things are ridiculous, but I will rewrite scenes and tone things back pretty frequently because of like marketability or because of just like keeping things consistent. Even if a scene is fun, it's the whole kill your darlings thing. But if my books continue to sell and people start praising some of the wilder things that I did as being genius, I might stop listening to myself when I start being like, is this too wild? I'll start being like, no, everyone will love it. I'm a genius.
Classic.
Yeah, but
Nina
don't-
moment.
True.
But we see where that
Yeah.
goes, though. You know,
Exactly.
It,
and
it
you
goes
see
from
where that
being
goes,
like this
but like,
cool, mysterious space jockey in the spaceship to being like, oh, it's just like 10-foot tall guys that are weirdly white.
Yeah.
it's literally, Noah and I were
Great job.
talking about this because,
Because of you, actually.
Because of me?
Yeah. I quoted you while we were talking about this. I'm like, Jackson hates that the space jockey's just a 10-foot tall white bald guy.
I hate
instead
it.
Of,
It's bad.
instead
I
of
want to see
anything
myself in a
cool.
movie.
Can just watch Seinfeld.
So R.E. Giger and the space jockey though.
yeah. Yes.
And less is more.
Uh-huh.
The fact that that's God, those environments, I want to bathe in that.
I am
Oh, you gotta
telling
watch
you,
the So
I am
documentary.
telling
I don't know
you
if you wanna,
got
like, bathe in
watch
it.
the
You know what I mean?
documentary. It does
So
seem like
I'll
bathing
bathe
in
in
it
a
would
little
feel
bit
kinda
of
It'd
gross.
be all
jelly.
slimy
It
to
looks
bathe in it.
it looks
I don't know,
wet
bathing
in
so
there.
hard.
I don't know.
I'll
It
take a
looks
jelly
bad,
bath.
bad wet.
I
I'll
like
take
a-
a
I
little
like a-
jelly bath.
Like I've had like the Lush jelly bombs before, and they're pretty nice. But I think there's a line. It probably smells a little icky.
It looks like it smells.
I feel
weird
like
in
it
there,
just smells
doesn't
like
it?
petroleum. It just
Yeah,
smells
it
like
does.
Vaseline in there.
It's wild. The space jockey prop is 26 feet tall, which
Yeah.
I
It
love.
is huge.
Also, I don't know
So
how
good.
I didn't connect that the big telescope is a giant penis until I watched that documentary.
yeah.
There was just something about it in the movie where I didn't get the angle just right. But when you watch that little documentary bit, it's like, oh, that's a dick and balls.
That's Giger for you.
So,
Everything's a
this
dick
is.
God bless.
I have been trying to
Giger
get.
looks at the world. It's just made up of dick and balls.
Literally.
It's like in the Van Gogh episode of Doctor Who, where he's like, "See the world through my eyes, Doctor," and the Doctor just looks and sees a bunch of dicks and balls.
I like to do like the two astronauts meme, like it's just dick and balls. Always was.
But I've been trying to get into some weirder art. And
Well, tell you
Giger's
what,
definitely
you follow me on Tumblr, so you're about to see a bunch of it.
yay.
Jeff's just gonna be sharing dick and balls, be like, no, I swear it's
It
Giger.
has already been happening today, so.
Oh, good.
But like the about that space jockey prop, the studio actually didn't want to let them build that thing. They said it's too big.
Cowards.
They said people aren't making movies with giant props like this anymore. This isn't a thing that'll do great, because
Hold on,
that
I just have
affects
to
them.
Google
Anymore.
Jurassic Park
Right.
really quick here.
But then they
That
referred
was like
to
20
it. Basically, like they managed to get the studio to be sold on it by referring to it as like the Cecil B. DeMille shot. For those of you who are familiar with that director, they said this is going to be the big ass, like very obviously expensive shot that clues the audience into the fact that the movie they're watching has had a lot of effort put into it. And that's the reason that that room is so big and that prop is so huge. And that they put children in spacesuits to make it look even bigger. They needed to have this shot wow you as much as possible. If you look real closely, actually,
It worked.
if you look
They put
closely at the
kids in that room?
spacesuits in... if you look closely at the spacesuits, you can actually see that like the proportions are off from how they are in other spacesuit shots that have like, adult actors in them. But yeah, that's... They put as much effort into that shit as they could because they had to fight to have that scene in the movie. And dare I say,
makes a whole
it's
lot
an
of sense.
incredibly important scene for how brief it is that we get to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. I read in the IMDb trivia page
Yeah.
that the budget for this movie was doubled after they kind of like met with the producers and everybody and were showing kind of like the concept art and like pieces and everything. And they were just so blown away by all of it that they were like, yeah, we're just going to
They
double
just
your
doubled
budget.
the budget
Like,
for it.
how often does that fucking
Right.
happen with
So-
Fucking
movies?
never.
This is something I've been thinking about in regards to another like present day movie that I watched recently that has a lot of practical effects. I know the answer is unions. I know it is. But God,
Let's go unions.
let's go unions.
Yeah.
But I want practical effects back, and I'm glad that the CG artists are unionizing for multiple reasons.
God,
First of all,
yes.
good for them.
Jesus Christ.
Secondly, that means that the obvious reason to choose CG over practical is now gone. Because that was the reason, and now maybe we're already
Yeah.
seeing kind of a resurgence with certain movies that did really well in theaters, and I'm looking forward to getting more of that. Hopefully, now that there's both, we're hopefully seeing that people are seeing that can be successful even in a modern era, and also with the union activity, my fingers are big crossed for more practical sets, specifically sets, not just creature design, but sets.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
this one very, very particularly uses very large built sets for all of like the alien ship stuff, including actually the exterior shots. You'll notice you get a couple different angles of the alien ship. That's because they built a big ass like 10, 15 foot model of that thing. I thought actually that it was like a matte painting or something. They do use matte paintings in this movie, but that's
I
not
know.
what that
I could
is.
see that they did.
Oh
I
yeah,
love matte
when
paintings.
in the scene where like Kane is coming down into the egg chamber, it's very clear that like they built one segment of that thing and the rest is all matte paintings, right? But like it's good enough that it looks good still.
matte paintings are so
They
good.
are. I love seeing them.
I want
Oh,
more.
other stuff about that scene. Get this. There's this like blue like laser field running through the mist
Yeah.
above the eggs. Okay, the lasers that they used for that were borrowed. They were not originally going to have that for this scene, but those lasers were borrowed from the band The Who because they were testing lasers in like an adjacent soundstage just like next door, and they just lent them the lasers to make the scene cooler. Also, the design of the egg itself, the way the opening at the top has the like kind of four little flaps. H.R. Giger's original design for the egg was rejected because everyone looked at it and they said, HR, that is a vagina. You cannot put this in the movie. And he said, okay, and he changed it to make it look less yonic. That's the reason it
Only
looks the way it does.
Slightly. Yeah.
It still does, right? It's just, you know,
Oh,
you
it's-
can...
I loved in the documentary where he's just like, They were happy because we wouldn't be censored in Catholic countries, and I was happy because it still fit my vision.
I love in the documentary through the whole thing the way he talks about his specific creative vision for all this stuff. It's so cool. I'm going to try not to talk about it too much more because it's already been a lot, but that thing is just so fucking cool. Go watch Giger's Alien. It's only half an hour long.
I'm gonna watch it. Can I say something about aliens as a concept and like getting them to feel alien? I feel like this is something that we struggle with a lot, and even this movie obviously did at points. But like the idea that, first of all, hilarious. The idea that aliens would somehow emulate human genitals is so funny. Secondly, that's a really...
They're just a big fan.
Really? I mean,
It's not 1-to-1 though, you know?
not quite.
No,
There's
but
some
that's
plausible
More
deniability.
like 2-to-1.
That's a really good way to... Because what's the weirdest part of the human body?
The butthole.
The bubble.
That-
It's up
the
there.
butthole is
That's
weird.
top five for sure.
For sure.
But like, it's that
Pancreas,
whole
maybe.
area, and it's the thing that like it's uncomfortable. It's like
For you.
and
Vulnerable.
oftentimes
There's a level of vulnerability. that
vulnerable.
comes to
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot there that just kind of puts you off ilities in a very specific sense that I think is anything else. If you base aliens off of animals, you're like, oh, I know what an animal is,
Right.
but you might know what a dick is, but do you want to?
But do you really?
Do you really?
This summer,
I
we're
think there's, like,
redefining
a
what
lot
it
of-
means to have a dick and balls.
I think the biological components of it are really important too when you're designing an alien because
Yeah.
it has to fit in with what we know about how life develops. And like even the things like the pharyngeal jaws within the alien themselves are something that we've seen imitated here on Earth
Yeah.
in very niche circumstances.
Eels.
Yeah.
Moray
Yeah.
eel, literally just the moray eel, and some other types of like fish, but their pharyngeal jaws are more of like a second set of teeth that exist within the gills.
Right, it's like a second
They're,
jaw. that's
they're weird. You can
inside
like
the...
you can like stick your it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
It's like the creepy goblin sharks where they open
yeah.
their
Yeah,
mouth
yeah.
and like the gums and like the entire mouth just
Yeah.
like pops
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But like
So-
the morays actually have a second set
It's
of
a
jaws
second
that works
jaw.
to like
Yeah.
rip up the
It's
flesh
really
while they
cool.
hold it firm. It's kind of cool, yeah.
So, that's going back to a movie we watched for the podcast a long time ago, Underwater, which we compared to
Oh, yeah.
Alien at the time. That's what fucking disappointed me so much about Underwater is that like when a lot of love goes into a story, you can tell. And specifically with creature design on this one, it's very similar to me bitching about fucking Bagul from Sinister
Yeah.
versus the Grabber. It's the exact same kind
Yeah.
of like dichotomy of I can tell that you wanted this to look cool, but I can also tell that you did not give a shit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas with this stuff, it's like you don't even need to watch
Like-
the documentary and listen to H.R. Giger talk about how much he loves this thing and how excited he was to be able to make the xenomorph and have his vision come to life. Because, like, you look at
Imagine-
it and you can tell.
Imagine, yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. It's like physically being in the same room as something that you conceptualized on that level and getting to see the amount of detail put into it. It's like when fucking Killer Croc won best makeup at the fucking Oscars.
yeah.
It's so frustrating because it's like it's why AI art's so pervasive.
Yeah.
Because people see the swirlies in Giger's art and the like the shapes and they're like, I can mimic that. But they don't understand, they just don't get that these things are intentional.
Yes.
People think that artists just shit stuff out. Jeff and I had an at-length conversation about this last
Oh,
night.
you have
so this is
absolutely no idea
surfacing
how much I
again.
was holding back last night because I was just the entire time biting my tongue to not rant at you about H.R. Giger because I was so excited about him in that moment, as I am now. Get this about this man. This dude, his dad was a pharmacist, and he wanted him to follow in his footsteps and be a pharmacist, but he said no. He went to college and studied architecture and industrial design for 8 years.
Oh.
And
you
he
can
worked
tell.
in the industrial
You can
design
tell.
field as a professional. And that's one of the things that had him so excited about designing the Facehugger specifically, is because it was a design that like involved such a like clarity of intent and purpose while still being a creature. And he said specifically, as an industrial designer, he loved the idea conceptually of putting that together.
I love the idea of like
Designing a
HR
creature,
Giger working
he's
for
like,
like
as an
we're working in like an
designer.
industrial setting, and his boss is like, all right, Giger, this one's all you. You can make the design on this one. He comes back, he's like, it's a house of meat, and he's like, oh, it's a house of meat.
house of
He's like,
meat,
yeah, it's a meat house. And you're like, oh, it's a
And what's
meat
this?
house.
Is
Might
this a
not work.
chandelier hanging from the ceiling that's made of dicks? Is that what's going on?
Oh yeah,
here?
oh yeah,
oh yeah,
and
oh,
balls,
yeah.
and balls. I was the guy, man. I don't think this is a museum. You know that this is like a public art
And
space.
he's just like, yeah, I think this is going to be a good environment for people to be appreciating the art. You know, they're going to walk in, they're going to look around.
I'd be like, this is made
See,
of meat, isn't it?
When you look at Giger's illustration style, you can tell
Yeah.
that he has an architecture background. It looks like architectural like illustrations. Nothing like a good intentional artist with a clear vision to get you mad about the state of creativity these days, though. I will say
Right.
this
Oh my
happens every time. Every time that we have like a clear artistic vision, I just get angrier about AI art. Because the things that the same people who want AI art love
Mhm.
are the things that they deny exist.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
of intentionality. And I think again, when you have several different people who have intentionality working together, even if it is like, here's the intentionality with the alien design and like the set design, but you have the same thing in the writing of the characters and in the like world building of Ash's existence as an android and the company and how the company is using these people, you end up with something very special where all of the elements work together so well, specifically because with the aliens and with the human aspect, they're so at odds because you let two very different visions walk their course.
Uh-huh.
Instead of Marvel, where everything looks the fucking same.
Always.
It doesn't matter
Ugh.
if it's from a planet on the other side of this godforsaken galaxy standing next to an Earth person.
It's all the
It's
same
all the
aesthetic.
same.
Yeah. And speaking of that clarity of purpose in idea and stuff, there's so much casual world building in the design of the Nostromo. We were talking about it earlier, the way it's all like dingy and shitty and stuff. Here's just a very intentional design aspect of it that I am really wowed by is concept artist Ron Cobb designed
In
a
relation to corn?
system. I don't believe so. He might have something to do with the salad, but
Oh, okay.
he designed a system of like symbols that you can see above or on every door in the Nostromo. And every symbol has a very specific indication. He's got a particular system that certain colors used in certain ways mean particular things. There's like a specific symbol that indicates an airlock, and it uses a lot of black to indicate depressurization. You can see a symbol with an upside down person to indicate a lack of gravity. Certain symbols use blue or red to indicate temperature changes, shit like this. And they are all over all of the doors, and no attention is ever drawn to them, but it's there. And it really hammers in the like industrial workplace setting kind of aspect of it, right?
Yeah, it gives you something to dive into.
Yeah.
It gives you something to think about and figure out because that's not something that's laid out for you, and so you have to find it on your own. And there's a, catharsis, I guess. in
Yeah.
that. It feels
It's
nice
a-
to be like, I figured out the doors.
It's a reward because this is it's like a reward because like you've
My
got
toys.
the story is there for the people who are just there to see the story, but to the people who really want to get immersed in the world, there are rewards hidden for you or like right there for you just if you pay attention.
Yeah.
But
But
that's
I also
like the
I think
dream,
that's
right?
that's kind of the poison pill though too, where that same immersion that's available in the first one is the exact problem with the fourth one and the
Oh,
third one
yeah.
and the seventh one,
Ah.
and it, like that same level of like, wow, they really care, they really built a lot becomes very quickly, wow, you really care, you really
put a lot
built
in
a
this
lot.
one, huh? Oh, I haven't watched anything
You're
past
really
the
thinking.
second one, so I haven't seen all that
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
But
I think Nina's like thesis of less is more is so like apt when it comes to the fact that the first and second Alien movie are phenomenal
Mhm.
because the first one really understands that less is more, and the second one really understands that you can never put the alien back in the can. You can never hide it again. So you might as well say, well, sometimes more is more too.
right.
Let's give it all we got.
Yeah.
And that's where the second one shines, because it's saying, hey, less was more, but we ran out of less, so put some more in there. And it works.
And
then
that's-
it doesn't work after that.
Well, because then you
Right.
have to just keep going more.
Yeah. And
You
then you say, wait,
do-
where that the door thing? Put the door thing in there, and now there's a prison. And you're like, all right, we're going.
You do peak at some point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And it's the other thing is like this. It's kind of with. It's funny that J.J. Abrams took over Star Wars and he has this like mystery box thing, because Lucas and really Scott both seem to have the opposite. Where they're like, no mysteries, no boxes, even.
I wish we
Everything
hadn't
needs to
held
be
back
complete.
at the times that we did. I want to go back and tell more.
Yeah,
We should have taken that
exactly.
space engineer's mask off right away. Put more black goo
Literally.
in there.
God, we need more goo.
There's not enough black goo in the first Alien movie. I tell you, I wanted them to put black goo into there, and they didn't. They instead just lovingly crafted a world.
Movies don't have enough goo anymore.
Sci-fi in general doesn't have enough goo.
Modern
anymore.
sci-fi's too dry, you know?
It's too
Too
dry.
It's been like this ever since Star Trek. Star Trek's very dry, but like, yeah, you get it.
It's dry on purpose.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the Alien like franchise and world, but of course this isn't about that. This is about like the actual first one.
Right.
And I think that one thing we didn't touch on directly, but it just shows in the way the conversation flowed, is that the movie is called Alien, not Human, but the way that like the story is told focuses so much on the human characters that I think we didn't even discuss the xenomorph's physiology until 90 minutes in. Like,
Yeah.
probably.
like we
Yeah.
discussed the way the characters are built, the way the characters levy everything out, because it really is about them.
Yeah.
And then and that's kind of where like things can have the potential to go off the deep end.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I do like. I think it's because again the Alien is so well done that like, and this is true during the movie as well.
Oh, yeah.
None of the human characters ever look at the camera and remark on what the alien looks like, even when they've seen it. You know,
They
there's
don't.
they just or.
I told the story before on the off the air
Oh,
podcast
yeah.
from over yonder.
R.I.P.
But like the alien, like the xenomorph specifically sticks out so much to me because it is literally the first memory I ever have of watching a movie was Aliens. Like there is not an earlier memory that is. I'm sure it's not the first movie I watched, but the first movie I have any memory of is Aliens. And so like the creature sticks out to me so much because I was probably like 5 when I was like exposed to it in action when it was doing the whole like rah thing. So it really sold me on it. And like from a young age, it existed as this like I don't know, unfathomable evil. So I kind of feel where the crew comes from because as like a 4-year-old, I was like, I don't like that thing. And and I'm sure if I was Ripley in the Nostromo, I'd be like, you know what? I don't either. So
Yeah,
it
for
sticks
sure.
out to me a lot because it as a child it was like the big bad for me before any other horror movie was put on my radar.
Which is so interesting because especially in this movie, apart from some of the like kills near the end and then not even, the gore is centered on the face hugger and the chest bursting scene.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the horror of what the this is I'm gonna go back to the last voyage of the Demeter again.
Oh.
But like
Oh,
The-
I
the
want to
whole-
see it still.
really
I haven't
love
seen it,
that
so don't go
movie.
off too much.
the horror
It's on my short list.
Okay, then I won't go off too much. But the horror of this movie that works so well, where maybe other movies didn't, is that the horror is then that people are disappearing.
Should it not be on my short list?
It's worth watching.
Yeah, but should it not be on my short list? Should it go
It
to like the
shouldn't be on
medium
the
list?
short list.
Okay, so
yeah. I would not say don't watch it, but I would say don't be excited about it.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, like this movie does like the slasher things better than the slashers usually do. Characters get picked off, and the fact that we're in an isolated space and we know that the thing is in there, like
Oh, and the
there's no
radar?
escaping from it, and the radar,
They got
and the way
beats.
that
Come on.
it's so good. Yeah, no, like that we don't need to see a ton of gore or like really excessive kills because the characters getting picked off is enough. The alien's not scary because of what it can do to you necessarily, just because it's scary because of the scenario. It's so good.
Yeah,
Such
you're
a
in
good
space because
movie.
literally in space, no one can hear you scream.
Wow, in
Wow.
space,
And, like-
no one can hear you scream.
But that's the thing is like obviously
space.
duh. But in like 1979, you see that and you're like, oh,
Like, oh,
I guess
shit.
so. That's
well,
pretty
because
cool.
like, what
nowadays
kind
it's
of
so
other
overplayed.
place?
Right.
What kind of other place could you have that sense of utter isolation of like, well, the sea, obviously,
Right, which is
like,
what
sea, the
underwater
desert,
is. They're like,
depending.
we'll just put it at the
Right.
bottom of the ocean. Nobody can be there.
and that
Mhm.
would that honestly for underwater could have worked because that's true. Space almost doesn't feel. I think it's because it's underutilized. I think Gravity of anything did the best job with the horror of what space is capable of doing to you.
Mhm.
But like the sea is equally that terrifying. But other than those two things, like where else are you going to be that isolated?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the sea,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the sea's just it's scary.
I hate water.
I think that like there's a lot of understated elements of the sea, and like one of them is that much like space, a lot of the ocean is lifeless.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ocean
Mhm.
that is devoid of life. Like there's just nothing.
And we're still, a
And
lot of the
it's worse
places
with
that
the
are full
sea.
of life, it's not any kind of life that you would recognize.
Oh yeah, it doesn't work like we think it works.
Yeah.
And you go to like these like remote patches, you get away from any kind of stream, and you can't even like catch a drift.
Uh-huh.
You're just on your own.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
Yeah. This is
The
some good
drift you
shit.
catch toss you right back out.
I love isolation horror so much. I wish we got more of it that just wasn't just person who lives alone in the woods.
Mm.
Because I like Hush, I like Gerald's Game, I like Mike Flanagan as a person, but I want more.
Did
I
Mike
want
Flanagan
more.
do Gerald's Game?
That was him, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't a fan.
No, don't worry. Neither were we really.
Yeah, we were
So
pretty
then I
middle on that
have,
one.
so then I take it all back. I have seen a Mike Flanagan joint before.
Have you
To
seen...
be fair-
I didn't like.
Have you seen
No,
Oculus?
to be fair to you, that was also the first one I saw of his, and I have obviously come around, so he can redeem himself.
Oh, I mean, I think Midnight Mass is on track.
Oh, yeah.
so
His
so far, so
television
good.
stuff is where he really shines.
Yeah.
He needs the breathing room.
Better than his...
He
yeah.
needs 10
Oculus is
hours.
good though. Oculus.
Oh, Oculus! I've seen Oculus. Wait, okay,
Yeah,
so I
that's
never
him
mind.
as well.
I'm completely full of shit about Mike Flanagan.
This is what happened to
'cause
me
I
as
didn't
well.
know his
This is-
filmography,
this is the same
because I thought
thing.
his thing was the Netflix shows. I didn't know he had like a filmography of like
Yeah,
I didn't know he was
feature-length
real
films.
too.
Your experience
I
with Mike
didn't know he was
Flanagan
real.
is
Oculus
shaping up to be exactly the same as mine because I watched Oculus and Hush like as they came out, just about, and then watched Midnight Mass
Yeah.
and was like, "Oh, I've never watched a Mike Flanagan before."
I just
Same
thought they were
thing.
TV shows. I
Yeah.
didn't know he. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
He also did Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Doctor
Oh,
Sleep.
okay.
Oh.
It's
That's
too
fair.
long.
All right,
It
so
is
I
quite
have,
long, yeah.
I have a great question.
Let's go.
I
Okay.
have a great question. At Jeff.
Oh.
Same question at me from last week.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right.
Nina asked the question because
Oh.
it was Nina's
I was
question.
just kind of.
I have a question and I will direct this towards Jackson but Jackson kind of already answered it a little
Yeah.
bit.
Let's go.
The reason we're here discussing Alien for those who are just now joining us, is because we're doing a little series on movies that got us into horror. Jeff, what do you think it is about Alien that left you kind of wanting more of this kind of thing?
All right, so the sci-fi of it definitely drew me in because I very much grew up as a Star Trek kid. So I have always been very into sci-fi and particularly that older era of sci-fi. I really love, like I said earlier, hard switches and flashing lights and shit, and like the spacesuits are big and cumbersome and clumsy and kind of modeled after samurai armor if you look closely, actually. But like the way that you get this like really long uninhabitable planet sequence, you know, as they've all like suited up and they're trekking across the whatever fucking wasteland to get to the derelict ship, right? I love all that kind of stuff. It's a flavor of sci-fi that I absolutely love. And then in the way that it builds its darkness and its tension and its scare and the monster and everything, it also shapes up to be a flavor of horror that I really like. It combines all that with artistic directions that I really like because I love H.R. Giger's other work. So like it's a huge combination of a bunch of things, more or less. And
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I have a follow-up, which is, do you think that there are certain things about this movie that you can kind of trace to the kind of horror that you're into now, i.e. Giallos? Do you think that there's similarities?
Between this and the Giallos, it's probably just the fact that the cinematography is so 70s.
Mhm.
because I love the way 70s stuff is shot very frequently, especially when it's in the particular somewhat more like art housey kind of flavor that you get in stuff like this, where it's very like, you know, a lot of the opening sequences where it's like showing you the ship without the crew in it and stuff. It's all very Kubricky,
Mhm.
you know, and that's a flavor of presentation that I am a good bit of a fan of, and it's something I feel like I never see in more modern stuff. It's one of the reasons I was so excited about those ending scenes in Doctor Sleep, right? Because then
Right.
Mike took the movie back to the Overlook and he did all the real Kubricky looking stuff, and it's like that's just shit that I enjoy, you know?
Okay. I think I kind of found some similarities in the storytelling of this, like, kind of being like stalking mystery
I
solving
could see it.
angle, especially with Ripley as a character.
I think that is definitely also a thing that I'm just
Yeah.
into. Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a connection that I drew. Jackson, what about you?
Yeah.
I don't know how much horror you really watch outside of
I mean,
well,
I
you
don't
said
watch
you'd
like
watched
actively a
Oculus
ton.
and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a ton of horror movies, but
Sure.
I don't actively a bunch, especially not in the summer. Summer's not a horror-y season for me.
Oh, sure.
Fair.
Winter, fall, I usually start consuming a lot more, but so like I'm kind of in like I'm kicking back into it with the Midnight Mass, but I've been out of on a horror hiatus for the summer as I usually am
Sure.
because
Just kind of goes in
it
phases.
just doesn't
Yeah.
hit the same. It doesn't feel the same when it's bright outside
No.
still, and I have to go to bed at 7 p.m. anyway.
Understandable.
So,
Yeah.
That's
um,
super fair.
Yeah. For me, honestly, like the biggest thing that really like stuck with me is that it is the first thing that ever stuck with me as far as a movie goes. Like I had never in my life experienced a movie because again, I was 4 or 5 when I encountered it. I didn't watch the whole thing. But like, yeah, I had never had an experience before where a movie stuck in my head or like scared me or made me feel like uncomfortable in a way. Again, I was probably too young to be seeing it, but that did give it like an immense amount of like staying power with me mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the
And
point
how
where like
nice
for
is
years
it?
it came up.
How nice is it for you that the movie that scared you turned out to also just be one of the best movies of all time?
Oh,
'Cause-
great! It's like it's a major key, major keys.
Oh, yeah.
Major.
Major key alert.
Huge win. That like it turned out that as an adult I was able to watch it and be like, oh, actually it's phenomenal. That's cool. Good. And I
Yeah.
wasn't scared of like Dougal or something, ruined forever having to think about. Instead, I got Alien, and I'm like, you know what?
Like, all
that's,
right.
that's a good childhood standout.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Do we have anything else we want to talk about, or should I roll into Noah's notes?
Noah's
I've got a little
notes.
bit more
We have a
like
theme song?
interior design stuff that I can wrap up just real quick. If anyone isn't tired of listening to me talk about that yet.
Wrap it up.
Hit us with
Neighbor.
that
for
color
it, go for
theory.
it.
So it's not color theory stuff. It's just the
Purple.
living areas of the Nostromo, right? They've
Oh, I loved the living areas.
Some could say they're even
so-
dying areas.
you might even
Some could call them that.
dying areas and dining areas, eh?
To the alien, these are the same thing.
You tell them though.
The design of the living areas of the ship, I think, tie really well into the like capitalism themes of the movie, right? Like it's very much about the way that the corporation doesn't give a shit about the crew, right? You die on the job and the only funeral you get is maybe your coworkers say something about you as they unceremoniously yeet you from the airlock and nobody ever hears from you
That was
again.
another one that
Yeah,
hit
it comes
way
across a little
funnier
bit
than
funny,
it should
but
have.
I think it's supposed to feel a little absurd. I think it's supposed to feel intentionally unceremonious and disrespectful to a point even, right? And the interior design of all the living areas in the ship are very much the same thing because it's like, yeah, this is some corporation's idea of what an acceptable break room looks like. It's all just these fucking, like plastic shrink wrap looking white walls. And yeah, you got shit to sit on. You got stuff that has your food in it. There's lights. What else do you want? Like,
The job description had generous dining package.
yeah,
involved.
right.
And they're
100%.
constantly bitching about the food, and I love them for that.
Yeah. So the way that a lot of that stuff is designed, though, also, like I mentioned, H.R. Giger designed everything that's not of human origin, and that, his style is kind of part of the reason it all looks the way that it does, right? In contrast to that, the human stuff is all designed largely drawing on other human stuff. I mentioned the spacesuits being kind of designed after samurai armor. And that's kind of partially a reference to the fact that the company is called the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The name is supposed to just kind of indicate that it's like sort of jointly a British and also Japanese company. But then a lot of the interior design of the living areas of the ship draws from like ancient Egypt. That's why the shapes on the walls are the way that they are, the way that they sit in between all the doorways, the reason the doorways are the shapes that they are, and the reason that the hypersleep chamber looks like a tomb.
Oh.
See, I knew the ancient Egyptians were involved in this alien stuff. I knew they had pyramids and batteries.
Aliens.
Now, the one thing that they could have done to make this better is if the Nostromo was just shaped like a giant pyramid.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, instead it was shaped like a Russian Orthodox church.
Well, I mean, wasn't
love
it
an
not really
onion
like
dome,
shaped
though,
like
you
that?
know?
Because wasn't most of that just like the cargo?
Yeah, it seems like it's
Yeah.
mostly just holding areas for shit. Yeah.
It's mostly just a whole bunch of ore.
They're just carrying
and then like a
ore.
little.
She blew up all that
She
ore. Good
blew
for
it
her.
the fuck up. Yeah, it's all gone, scattered. But yeah, between that and also the Weyland-Yutani logo that you can see on a lot of things is the like circle with the wings thing from ancient Egyptian like religion and mythology, because the designers really liked the idea of like, you know, symbolically I don't know what the other word that I'm looking for is, the idea of a corporation taking a very old religious symbol and co-opting it to turn a profit off of it just because it looks neat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, plays into, once again, all the other capitalism themes. Ron Cobb was very into the notion of like humanity kind of getting lost in industrialization and in corporate greed. If you apparently he has an awful lot of other art, a lot of like single panel newspaper comic style stuff that really leans on that idea as well. Very neat.
There's never a time when anything. Because unfortunately, as much as I joke about the Ancient Aliens pyramid battery thing,
Right.
like there's some franchise adjacent properties such as Alien vs Predator actually do go like the Ancient Aliens pyramid route.
They do that.
And is there any that never retroactively is like actually, is it, or is it just kind of like a weird coincidence
The
that they
thing
happen to
is,
do that?
at that point, that the pyramids are to do with the predator, not the alien. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a predator.
Yeah, but the aliens
thing.
went there to hunt. Or the predator went there to hunt the alien.
Yeah,
It's stupid. Don't worry about it. Don't
yeah.
worry.
It's AVP is a pretty ridiculous movie.
Honestly, I think the funniest thing is that while all Alien fans are like, this is a non-canonical entry into the Aliens franchise,
Predator fans are like ride or
a
die for it, aren't they?
non-insignificant a non-insignificant portion of the Predator fan base is like, no, this could be real.
I love the
And it's-
concept of the
the
Predator.
Predator
It's
lore
mostly
is a
because
lot
the
bigger than you
comics
think.
allowed the aliens
Yeah, there's
there. Oh,
there's a lot.
it's
of
almost all
comics.
the comics.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about Freddy
Um,
Krueger. Am
well,
I right?
That's right.
And the reboot.
Ridley
Finally,
Scott
somebody's
has said
acknowledging.
that
Oh,
Blade Runner and the Alien films share a universe, and so that means
Ah!
Blade Runner, Alien, and Predator and Prometheus like all are in a shared universe,
I could
which is interesting.
I guess I could see Blade Runner and
I could totally see
Alien.
Blade Runner happening during
Sure.
Alien. It just they don't touch
Yeah.
them. So like, yeah, maybe that's the state of
All
Earth
right.
right
So
now.
wait.
Yeah.
well, but here's my question:
for that.
What's the timeline like here, and what does that make Ash? Because
Oh,
like
An early
replicants
replicant.
are like
Yeah. I would
an
think.
early replicant.
Yeah,
That's what I would think.
probably.
Even though I thought the early replicants were supposed to be like the replicants initially were based off of like the chairman of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. So like I don't know how exactly that all.
Do you
like,
think
stems
Ash
in,
looks
and
like the chairman of the?
I,
also,
I,
what-
I don't make the
you get to
rules.
see
Wait,
Watch
what
Prometheus.
year
I don't.
does Blade Runner take place in? Because this movie
2049.
was not. Hey, come on.
Okay, I have one more thing to say before I do Noah's notes. So
Yeah.
let me know if I can say
okay.
it. So
Yeah.
the Nostromo is named after a book that I looked up. I've not read it, but it's one of those like old kind of historical fictions about a fictional country in South America that is undergoing revolutions, and this wealthy English merchant's child who puts a bunch of silver on a ship off the coast of this fictional country. Nostromo is the chosen name of one of the revolutionaries who manages to steal all of that silver.
Oh.
Fun facts.
Cool.
I don't know if that's relevant to the story at all, but I was curious, and it like there are ships.
It's cool.
That fits for an offshore or hauling a ship.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Like off planet, I guess. Not really offshore.
Wow.
Right.
Both.
It's off.
Pretty far
offshore.
offshore.
It's very far from the shore.
It's like if someone in like Missouri was like, "Yeah, I'm offshore."
Anyway, I'm gonna read Noah's notes.
Let's go.
Noah says, old spaceships look so good because they were all models. Like there's real shadows on that and minimal lighting because space is dark as
That's
shit.
right.
Yes. He also says, these hulls look great too. I can't wait to watch Event Horizon for this podcast. This is me also throwing my hat in the ring for Event Horizon.
I love Event Horizon.
Noah says, imagine being out in space, no aliens ever found. Then suddenly you have this distress signal, and as you walk through the angry fog, you see a ship looming over you, bigger than what you landed in, and distinctly not something you made.
Right.
Yeah. It's really good shit. Noah says, I love watching two purely vibes-based movies in a row like this. Yeah, Seven and Alien both have such consistent, like... I would even say Prisoners does too. Just have such consistent, like, well thought out settings and tones, and everything's really cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's up, Jeff?
Also, I feel like there is a very strong correlation between this and Seven, where both movies know when to not show you something.
Yes.
They know when it's better just not
Despite
to show
showing you a lot.
Yeah, even though both of them do show you a good bit, they know the moments to do that and the moments not to.
Noah says, Ayo, space jockey, fly that shit. And then in parentheses, he won't, he's dead.
He is.
That's so true.
Noah said, dude, that's sloppy as shit. How are you just gonna fall through into the reactive mist like that? Yeah, Kane.
Couldn't be me.
L.
If I saw
Noah
a reactive
says-
mist, I would simply not touch it.
Noah says, molecular acid. Okay, man, just make shit up.
I only drink molecular water.
Some form of molecular acid eats through the ship. Shut the fuck up.
You don't have to specify that it's molecular. Like, it probably is. It's acid.
Right?
Like, everything's molecular. That's how it should be
And
fluid.
that's just one of those,
if you
like,
want.
Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs things, right? Where it's like, yeah, this is 70s sci-fi. We're just throwing words out every now and then.
No. Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs gets worse
I
because
know,
they
I know
realize
about
they
the
made a
12
mistake
parsecs.
and
I
then
know
they
about
try
the
to
Kessel
justify
Run.
it. Actually,
Noah
there's a big
says-
black hole
Whoa,
there.
there's a bunch of black
Noah
holes.
says, no, I'm not reading that. That opens up too many questions. Noah says, Kane's son. Yes, thank you, Ash. I'm glad you're here to contribute. Yeah, Ash is, even though Ash is an android, he's got a lot of opinions, and he's a sassy little bitch. I love him.
What was that? It was Kane's son. Shut the fuck up.
That's
you
like
stupid little robot
that is
man.
see, that's the one thing I can kind of get. That is the line that I could pull all of Michael Fassbender's characterization from, because that implies some like weird spirituality and desire for creation, all in that one line that Michael Fassbender's character would portray later on. But I don't think it was meant to. Maybe it was. I don't know what Ridley Scott was doing. Anyway, Noah says, I'm not gonna read that one either. Noah says, my bad. That was
Nina has been
A lot of notes getting vocally
bypassing
skipped
some
this time, huh?
really good
Not
things
this one.
from me. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a good one.
No, it's not. I'm not reading
Okay.
that one.
I'm sorry, Sigourney, but that's a Hank Hill looking ass is a good note.
I don't stand.
No.
I don't stand you
Ridley
insulting my
put
woman
her
like
in the
that.
worst pair of
Not
underwear on
valid.
planet
No,
Earth.
the
Okay.
underwear are okay. The underwear are actually really bad, and I do think they were not flattering her. So I'll go with you on that one.
I don't know necessarily that this is true because I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere, but I have heard it said that she was asked multiple times to pull them up whilst filming, and she refused.
Well, yeah,
Good
because
for
they would have
her.
gone right up her ass crack.
Yeah, that's
you
what
either
they
show
wanted.
the top or you show full cheek.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. And so, yeah, the Hank Hill looking ass is an act of rebellion, and I support it. Uh, Noah did say at one point, I love Jones' big orange cat energy. And that's what I'll leave on because, yeah, we didn't talk about Jones, but he really is just it's the only thing I can think of that draws a direct parallel between the Nostromo and like sea ships, which is that they have a ship's cat and he's just there. I don't know why he's there.
I love it
Yeah.
for him.
But I
I
love
also
it.
think it's funny because if they did go with Jones as a name from the start, it is like a more gendered name, and it also implies to me that they were set on an orange cat.
Yeah.
Because an orange cat is a vibe.
It is.
And also
Yeah.
orange cats are almost always male.
That's true.
Like it's like a 90-some%. It's like calicos.
Yeah.
Where it's
Well,
like
okay, I think by you guys are all neglecting one thing about them choosing Jones as the name for the cat and it being gendered, and that is that they refer to all other characters entirely by their last name. So
Exclusively.
how do we know that
Yeah.
Jones isn't just his last name?
We don't know what his first name is. That's very true.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Shipsman Jones.
Anyway, that's been Noah's notes. Jeff, do you want to sign
stuff.
us off?
Uh,
Do you? No, I can do it.
This has been the Casual Obsession Horror Movie Podcast, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. Thank you for listening with us today. I've been your host, Jeff. You can find me on Tumblr at What Is It You Pray For, and allegedly on Letterboxd at The Fakest Fan. Jackson, would you like to tell everyone where they can find you?
you can find me on
yes.
Tumblr as well. It's really the only social media I use. And you can find me at Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
Honestly, the further away from the relevance of Turning Point USA we
It
get,
only
the
gets
funnier
funnier.
that is.
I
feel
long for the
like-
day when I become the de facto Turning Point USA.
You're the real one. Yeah.
I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for me to clarify a joke I made a long ass time ago that never came to fruition. So when you changed your Tumblr from Jacksonium or whatever it was to Turning Point USA, I created a Tumblr using the name Jacksonium.
Nice.
And then for like a number of weeks, I was just reblogging and posting every single thing that you posted, hoping that you would notice. But you never said anything.
I don't know. I don't
about
think I
it.
did. I didn't notice that 'cause that's a good one.
so
But I feel like I get a
Yeah.
lot of I usually get notifications, but I don't know why I didn't.
That's
maybe
so
they-
funny.
That's sad.
But
I wish I had
no
noticed.
one, you never said anything.
Yeah, I genuinely I didn't know. Like,
I
I,
was like,
I wish I knew because
Yeah.
that's a good one. But yeah, I
Yeah,
genuinely
thank you,
didn't get
thank you.
notifications.
yeah. But if you ever want the name back, just let me
I'll let you
know.
know. Just waiting for Charlie Kirk to DM me so I can just send him clown emojis or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Who else? We got well now you know where to find Emma's Tumblr.
I don't use that anymore. I haven't used it in a long time.
You can find the podcast on Tumblr though at Casual Horror Pod.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there will be some fun and interesting posts. I already have one bookmarked from Alien that I'll
Yeah.
reblog over there soon.
Nice. And I'm Emma. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Emma Panada. I'm also writing a TTRPG called All the Witches. You can find information about that at allthewitches_ on twitter.com or at allthewitches on bluesky.com. Noah?
Okay.
I'm Noah. You can find me as Bubbadabad, BUBBADABAD, on Blue Sky, Twitter, and Insta, and Letterboxd, and Tumblr. I'm still on Twitter, but I don't do anything there anymore. I have notifications turned on when Nina
Yeah.
tweets,
I-
and that's what I tune in
This
for.
is embarrassing for Twitter, not for me. But I was contacted by a group that I've done art for before, and they're starting to restream their TTRPG podcast. And they were like, "Hey, can you give us all the art that you did for it?" And I'm like, "Sure," because I guest hosted, guest DM'd, guest played a couple times, so I've got a bunch of my own character stuff logged up. And they're like, "Okay, where do we credit you?" And I'm like, I didn't even think about Twitter. I was like, here's my Instagram, here's my Facebook, here's my Twitch. That was all I could think of. So yeah, you can find me at Nina Wolverine on Twitter. I'm still active there. Just not as enthusiastically. You can find me at Nina Wolverina on Blue Sky and Instagram as well. Much more active both those places. And then you can find me on Tumblr at Nina Wolverina with a 3, where the E should be. And then most importantly, you can find my secret project, which won't be a secret by the time you're hearing about it now. Blood in the Water, a vampire gothic horror romance, will be updated on Mondays and Wednesdays in October and into November because there are 15 chapters, which doesn't wrap up very neatly. And you can find that on Tumblr at Blood Water Serial. Serial like it happens in a series,
Right.
not like the food. So
Why not like the food?
I don't know.
We'll
It's
work
set in
up
the
a deal.
1830s. Is breakfast cereal a thing? Anyway, yeah.
Oatmeal.
Thank you guys so much for listening this lovely week. Thank you so much, Jackson, for joining
Yeah.
us to talk about this movie. It
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys.
What are we?
Oh, we're
what are we
talking
watching next time?
Shit. Fuck.
It's
I think it's-
Slashtober.
Oh, it's
We are
Slashtober.
rocking into
Yeah.
Oh my god.
October.
So, what order do we usually
I
go
think
in? Did we do
Halloween-
Friday
The past-
or Halloween?
The past
Halloween
2
Friday-
years we
No,
did.
Halloween's always last.
Oh.
No, the past 2 years we did Friday first, but the first year we did Halloween.
Back to
first.
back, Jeff. Oh, that's right, because Slashtober actually happened in November last or the first
Back to
year.
back me. Oh shit.
Okay, so we're doing
Friday the 13th,
so
part
Friday
4.
the 13th
The
for
final chapter.
next week.
Emma, this is the one where it really picks up and gets really
I
good.
don't believe you. I don't believe you.
So
It's gonna be another like 2 or 3 from me. Probably.
Oh,
Yes.
the best one. Obviously, I don't think any Friday the 13th movie is ever going to get like a true positive review from you, but like, you might like this one a touch less. We get the
We'll see.
Jasonator.
We'll find out next time.
Only
yeah, find
on
out next
Casual
time. Until
Obsession.
then. Yeah, bye. Woo.
Goodbye.
Is it a trash can endings or is this standard fare?
Oh yeah. No, we're doing it for you. Actually, it's for your
Oh,
benefit.
thanks. I'm honored. I'm
God,
honored.
what a long episode. Holy shit.